Hello, welcome in everyone. Welcome back if you're back from the hour break that I took that really did not feel like an hour. It really did not feel like an hour at all. But we are back and we're doing more of Derek's DLC for Our Lives Begin Always. So here's the deal with this. We are gonna be doing two stories that are not a part of the DLC just to establish like the character of Kingsley, who is our protagonist for this game right now. And then after we finish these two, these are the only two non-DLC stories that we're doing. We're gonna save, because what I really want to do is establish our sexuality. Because we will be doing Baxter's DLC, and I do not feel like going over, I don't feel like doing another character just for Baxter. It's gonna be like alternate paths that we go on. So after we do these two, we're gonna save, gonna make a new file, and then we're gonna continue doing the rest of the DLC. Now, the only DLC that we're doing that's not gonna be Baxter's is Summer Work, just because he shows up in it. So I just wanted to give you guys, the heads up. Oh yeah, we already did Mall, so these were the two DLCs that he shows up in. Okay, let's start with some Wave. Let's do it. You guys ready? Hope you're ready. The cushion. I'm gonna need to move this mic. Yeah, move that there. The family shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half of a watermelon. Oh my. Ma came out the front door and paused just ahead of you. Need any help with that, Kingsley? I can bring it the rest of the way if you want me to. Yes, please, it'd be helpful. Yes, please, it was just too heavy. No, I've got this. No, I've got it. Eagerly agreed. No, I've got it. We're managing. Even if it was heavy, you wanted to do it yourself. Ma gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through your blue hair. You set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents with a sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags. With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood. Careful, Kingsley! You hadn't been looking where you were going when bumped right into Mom, almost stepping on her toes to boot. Oh, sorry, Mom. I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. Oh my. Not this joke, Mother. She grinned at the bad joke as you continued through the door. Outside, Ma had started organizing what remained and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. When you stepped up to the trunk beside her, she took in a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around in the breeze. It's a shame we had to spend this morning cooped up in that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, don't you think? You tilted your head to the sky, gazing at the clear blue expanse. Yeah, it is. Days like these days are my favorite. It's too hot. I wish it was raining. I like when it's stormy the best. It's too hot. It's too hot. You wrinkle your nose, feeling a few beads of sweat gathering on your forehead from lifting stuff around in the sun. Pierce Vale performing on Monday, August 12th. Top to learn more. No. As much as I would love to go to a Pierce Vale concert again, I can't do it. Sorry, I got a notification. I'm waiting for Milkshake to get here. That's what I'm doing this. Not Milkshake like an actual milkshake. Like Milkshake the strawberry cow from Sugary Carousel. You wrinkled your nose, feeling a few beads of sweat gathering on your forehead from lifting stuff around in the sun. If there were a cloud or two around less in the heat, you would be enjoying the weather a lot more. With a small sigh, you turned back to help Ma with the last of the bags. Oh, hi, Cove. You noticed Mom was over at Cove. What? You noticed Mom wave over at Cove, who had just exited his front door, his surfboard propped up under one arm. Let me see. Surfboard and wetsuit. Where might you be off on this beautiful day? Cove flinched at being called to so suddenly. He hadn't realized there were people out here already, but he quickly recovered. He crossed the pavement to properly say hello, although you could tell he was excited to get to the ocean. And hey. Hello, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I haven't even been out of the waves in a long time. I'm jealous. Poe smiled, pleased to have people around who shared his hobby. Hi, Poe. He adjusted the surfboard under his arm a little, getting a better grip on it. Hi, Kingsley. Did you want to come down to the beach later? We can hang out. I can't this time. Maybe another day? Poe looked disappointed, but nodded and gave you a smile. He's really understanding when you have other things you want to do.
Alright.
Sure. I should get down to the beach before the wind turns. With the last wave goodbye, Cove turned and headed down the sidewalk towards the beach. There were still a few more bags left to carry in. You picked up as many as you could manage. It was a fairly average amount. Some people might do more, some less. Your pace wasn't anything to complain about, though. Inside, you were greeted by an annoyed scoff. Is that everything now?
No.
Not quite, Elizabeth. It won't be much longer. Instead of carrying bags, can I stop bringing stuff in? If it's so bad for you, we can switch roles. If it's so bad for you, we can switch roles. Elizabeth always got to be the putter awayer, while you had to be putter awayer? Putter awayer? Oh my god, why can't they just say that Elizabeth always got to put away the items? That putter awayer, I would have not gotten that. While you had to be the bag carrier, just because she complained so much. It was hard to put up with.
In your dreams.
Definitely not. I know where to put everything correctly. Let's not lose focus. We're practically done. If you want to stop bringing the bags, Kingsley, fine. You can stay here and work with Elizabeth. He didn't say anything else. I'm going back out. It wasn't long before each of the bags had been carried in and their contents were stored away. Elizabeth was already walking away. Finally. Thank you for your help, you two. We wouldn't have done it without you.
Good job.
You're so strong carrying in all those bags, Kingsley. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. How about some lunch? With everything we brought today, we can make pretty much anything we want. I think the more important question is who's going to stay and help prepare it.
You alright with that?
I agree. Any takers? I'm not hungry. Besides, I have things to do. I'll make something for myself later. Elizabeth waved a dismissive hand through the air before officially heading off to her bedroom. Ma pouted a little and let out a sigh before turning her smile on you. You didn't make eye contact. If it meant being able to decide what to eat, you would help. Sorry, I can't help. I guess I can help. I'll be head chef. Oh, well, why not? I guess I can help. You were reluctant to help, but agreed anyway. You were feeling pretty hungry, and if you were gonna eat, you should help put it together.
Wonderful.
Then it's up to you what we have for lunch. You decided quickly enough what you wanted to eat, and the three of you got started on preparing everything. You all had fun together, talking and laughing in the kitchen. You thought there were worse ways you could spend an afternoon. With lunch out of the way, it was time for you to decide how to spend your afternoon. You glanced around for inspiration. The empty phone caught your eye. You called Derek. You strolled over to pick up the receiver and started to dial the number for the Suarez house. You didn't know if Derek would be in, but it wouldn't hurt to try.
Hello.
Hello, Suarez residence. Hi, this is Kingsley. Can I talk to Derek? You can, he's home today. You heard a shuffling sound, like the phone was moving slightly. There was a muffled shout from Derek's mom. It didn't blast your ears, so she must have turned away from the phone. Here he is, Kingsley. Have a nice chat. You held the phone away from your ears as they were bumpy static from Derek's phone getting handed over. You heard an excited breath. Kingsley, hey, what's up? I was just free and thought of you, nothing much. Well, I thought maybe we could talk. Yeah, that'd be awesome. How's your day gone? It's been nice. We had a bunch of groceries. Honestly, it's been kind of boring. It felt like most of it was chores.
I got you.
Then you called the right person. Talking with me is never a chore. That's a guarantee. You're so precious. You shuffled. I'll keep that in mind. So, what's up with you?
This is gonna be great.
Kind of the same. It was chore day at my place. I had to clean the bathroom and it was really gross, you know, of course. Oh my god, because I don't know what it is with you men, but like, learn to pee in the toilet, please. It's like a skill that needs to be acquired somehow, and I don't understand. Just be over the toilet. I don't understand. Derek didn't sound entirely upset over it. If anything, he seemed to be boasting about how he could handle such a job. I hate cleaning the bathroom. I really do. It's not fun. But the house does look a lot better now. My brother's room isn't a disaster anymore. You've been cleaning the entire day? Well, no. I finished up my part a while ago, and I've been playing at the Wii with my baby brothers. The Wii? What have you been playing on the Wii? Wii Sports? He laughed and the phone produced some more static. You're getting too good. Like, pretty soon? He lowered his voice to a low, proud whisper. I'm not gonna have to let them win anymore. They're really gonna beat me. That will be different. That's when I'll switch from easy mode to hard mode. He bragged a little more on his brother's gaming prowess, slipping in a few of his cool moves as well. You chatted until the conversation started dying down and the day grew later. But you kept talking to Derek. No, we're gonna keep talking to Derek. He started up another topic and Derek kept it going with the energetic interjections. You went from subject to subject, the words flowing from Derek like a river into the sea. It wasn't until the sun started to go down that you realized how long you'd really been going. It was time to stop. It's unbelievable how long you tied up the phone lines. You told Derek goodbye and he thanked you for hanging out with him. Cut the connection and placed the phone back where it belonged. You know what? Let's continue to relax. The rest of the evening was peaceful and rather low-key. You enjoyed the calm and were happy that you stayed at the house. You spent a little time with your family and had comfortable conversations during dinner. Pretty soon it was time for bed. Another summer day had run its course for you. Oh wow. That was fast. Okay. Growing. Early one afternoon, you found yourself in the living room with your family. It was another one of those summer days where it felt too hot to go outside, but it was too uncomfortable to do anything inside either. The air conditioner was cranked up as far as you could negotiate it, but everyone was still being pretty lazy. You, your moms, and sister lounging around while the TV blared on in the backdrop, ignored by all of you. You specifically were. What was I doing? Lying spread eagle on the carpet, I can't. Draped over the coffee table? No, my mom would yell at me. My mom would bust my ass if I was draped over the coffee table. Spread eagle on the carpet. You stared up at the ceiling, your eyes unfocused and mind clear of all thoughts. Elizabeth broke the silence with a loud groan. You glanced over. She was lying on her back over the couch, massaging her calf with one hand. I feel terrible. I'm dying in this house and my legs hurt. Mom looked up from the magazine she'd barely been flipping through and frowned, concerned. Could you have strained them somehow? Elizabeth flailed briefly, then flopped into her side with a heavy sigh. I don't know, it just hurts. Oh, sweetheart. Mom got up from her seat at the kitchen table and walked over to your sister. She had a little pat on Elizabeth's shoulder sympathetically. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Maybe it's growing pains? You could be taller by next fall. Elizabeth scoffed. She didn't look impressed by Ma's assessment. I'd rather be my height forever than deal with this. You know what? Kinda same. Mom walked over to leaning against the back of the couch. Kids, they grow up so fast. Soon Elizabeth will have a home of her own, maybe even with a nice husband and some kids if she feels like it. She sniffled loudly and wiped at her eye. You could tell that it was just a bit. You tilted your head, even though you knew Elizabeth liked guys. It was hard to imagine her with a boyfriend or a husband. I love that. She only seemed invested in hanging out with her group of friends, not chasing after boys. Mom must agree with you because she shook her head.
No.
Let's not exaggerate. She's still practically a child. But if you ever do pursue romance, Elizabeth, you can come talk to me about it. Definitely. We're always willing to lend an ear. Elizabeth's features contorted in disgust. No way. I'm not talking to my moms about that. Who else are you gonna talk to about it with? Mom's jaw dropped, and she gasped in an exaggerated display of shock. Her hand came up to rest against her chest. Ma only grinned. She didn't look offended by Elizabeth's quick response at all. It really wouldn't be so bad to come to us. I know what it's like to have a crush on a pretty boy or two. I don't, but I can listen anyway. Mom started at her own joke while Ma burst into giggles. They were having a little too much fun at Elizabeth's expense. Elizabeth certainly wasn't feeling the amusement because she rolled her eyes and sat up. I'm going back to my room. You better. What? What am I trying to say? I'd rather melt alone, thanks. She strode off towards the staircase, taking the steps two at a time. Your mom stared after her, then turned to each other with raised eyebrows. Whoops. Looks like we scared her off with all that romance talk.
Well,
Oh well, we'll get her next time. Why? Interesting. Okay. You watched them titter with some surprise. Obviously your mom's liked women, but you had no idea that Mom liked guys too. Today was the first time you heard her say something like that. Wait, you've had crushes on guys? Since when? Mom turned to you, happy to bring you into things now that you'd spoken up. She smiled and nodded. Always. I like both. But I like your mom most of everyone. She's special. Ma's smile turned all soft in the corners, like it usually did when she looked at her. She pinched Mom's cheek lightly. Mom reached up to cup a hand over Ma's. Even when Ma stopped pulling her cheek, their hands remained clasped together.
you're fantastic.
Thanks, Lonnie. I think most women have charm, but no one can hold a candle to you.
Aw.
Aw, Pamela. Ma beamed and kissed Mom on the cheek she'd been pinching before. You laughed at their antics. You thought the moment was very sweet. You cringed. Parents were embarrassing. I think the moment's sweet. You smiled to yourself at the sight. No matter how often your moms expressed their feelings for each other, it was always nice to witness it. I mean, maybe not all the time. Maybe keep that to yourself sometimes. Ma looked back to you, letting Mom's hand go with a brief squeeze. She settled down next to you, and Mom followed soon after. You know, I'm also here to listen to you whenever you're ready. That offer isn't just for Elizabeth. She bumped her shoulder with yours, a reassuring smile in place. There's no rush, of course. You can take all the time you need to figure out what or who you want.
It's okay.
Don't think you have to stick with whatever you come up with right now, either. Life's nice like that. It can change and you can learn. Mom nodded her agreement. The two of us are happy to hear you out, and we may be able to relate better than you think. Still, we won't push the topic, at least most of the time. She gave Ma the weakest scathing look possible while being unable to stop grinning. Thanks, slightly, you don't have to worry. I'm gonna say thanks. Thanks. I'll think about it.
Wonderful.
Good. That's all we asked for. Ma let out another exaggerated sniffle. It didn't take a genius to realize it was fake. First Elizabeth, and now you, Kingsley. Do you have to grow up? Yes. Children tend to do that from time to time. Your parents quickly grew absorbed in their conversation about rearing kids. You took that as your cue to leave, getting up so you could spend some time alone in your room too. They let you go without problem, so you made your way up to the stairs. You let out a sigh once you stepped into your room. It was just as sweltering in there as it was in the living room, possibly even a little warmer. You couldn't even open your window since it was hotter outside and you just let the AC out. You dragged your feet as you crossed the room. You checked your current sweltering condition in the mirror as you passed by it. You thought back to the conversation you had downstairs about growing up and all that. After a moment, you stepped a bit closer to the mirror. You stared into it, then turned away from the surface to look down at yourself. You were definitely growing alright. It was weird thinking about how you were now, in comparison to what you'd been when you were younger. When it came to your body, it was getting some muscle definition nowadays, was slender, have you said, sort of scrawny. I feel like we've got some muscle definition. You shifted to the side, your head still facing forward, and continuing that self-evaluation from this viewpoint. At birth, you were assigned female, and at birth, you were assigned male, and your chest was only flat. Your chest was flat, but you thought about it being different. Your chest was flat by birth. You aimed to have breasts through hormone therapy, and what we think about it being different. We're gonna get some titties, don't worry. We're gonna get buff. We're gonna get some titties, some man titties. I mean, women can get man titties too. Like if you're a bodybuilder, your titties look different. They do. It's very interesting. I love how interesting, like how square they get. And by titties, I mean pecs, by the way, in case you were confused. I tried to imagine what it'd be like. Maybe someday you'd make that change. You ran a fingertip over your birthmark. That was something that'd been consistent for you. You took a step backwards, finished with your impromptu inspection. You locked eyes with your reflection, cocking your head to the side. All things considered, You thought you looked fantastic, you didn't look too bad, you had no idea how you felt, you were simply neutral. You were self-conscious, you just wanted to look different than you did. You know, but we looked fantastic. Confidence king, that's the word, Kingsley. You beamed, pleased with what you saw. You even winked for good measure before chuckling at yourself. Do you guys do that? Sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror, I have some really different feelings. But sometimes I get kind of confident and I'm like checking myself out. I'm like, ooh, okay. I do wink at myself in the mirror and then I giggle. Because I can't take winks seriously, not even for myself. You shook your head roughly, putting thoughts of what you were turning into out of your mind. This wasn't the time to focus on such things. You had to find something to do in this heat. You shuffled over to your bed, collapsing into the mattress, your brows scrunched up in thought. Time passed slowly, and to your annoyance, possible ideas about what to do were few and far between. You weren't sure how long it had been, but eventually you heard your mom call you from downstairs. Kingsley! There's a call for you! Cove wants to come over! Is that alright? You perked up at the word, sitting up in bed. You yelled back to her immediately. Yeah! You got to your feet and headed downstairs, eager to see your friend. You nodded. You needed to go downstairs soon anyway, because your empty stomach told you it was almost time for lunch. Just as you reached the bottom of the stairs, you saw Mom put the phone back on the receiver. She glanced at Ma, leaning her hip against the kitchen counter. Well, here comes trouble. We better prepare ourselves. Ma clicked her tongue in clear disapproval of Mom's words. He's such a good boy. Cove never wants to cause trouble. He can just be a bit thoughtless and impulsive. Oh, I know, he's very sweet, but that's what makes it more of a problem. If a stranger or some kid from school was egging Kingsley on to behave badly, I think we can both agree that he'd do the right thing in the end. First of all, I don't even hang out with Cove that often. But if Cove Holden got into a reckless mood and wanted Kingsley to be a part of the ride, can we really be certain of what call he'd make then? I think so. Kingsley helps Cove settle down. He would have gotten himself in even more trouble without him.
Thanks.
You have a point. Ma just laughed as she turned away, still snorting. Her eyes met yours. She blinked in surprise and waved at you with an easy grin. Mom looked over, noticing you at the foot of the stairs as well. I didn't expect you to come down already, Kingsley. I just wanted to let you know what was happening. Pretend you didn't know what you printed? You printed. You pretended you didn't overhear the conversation. You called Mom out on her comment. Call her out. Well, if I hadn't come now, then I wouldn't have heard everything you said. Oh, you got caught, Pam. You were saying things too. I didn't say anything I wouldn't have told Kingsley directly. Oh, you are unbelievable. You shook your head at your parents, even as you felt a blush when you remembered just what they'd been discussing. Alright, you got me. I'm sorry for being gossipy and saying that about your friend. I can be bad too.
Let's go.
We'll get out of your way now. Mom sighed in mock defeat and made her way down the hall. Ma followed after her with a hushed giggle. It must be nice. It must be nice to be married, have kids. Like, what do parents do? That's the real question. What do they do all day? Like, when they're not working? Do they just follow each other around the house? That's what I want to know. I mean, it's not hard for me to follow Gil around the house. It's a small ass house. It's a tiny house. So like, I don't know. I guess I follow him around all the time. Sometimes he follows me around. I guess I'm already living that life. Maybe it's just because it's different. Because like, I'm thinking about like kids' perspective now. I'm like, why did they leave? Where are they going? Where are they going? What are they gonna go do? Why can they do that here? You know? Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. Now you're alone in the living room, tasked waiting for Cove. And that was just fine with you. If it hadn't been so hot outside, you would have visited him at his house a long time ago. There we go. Reading. You took a seat at the kitchen counter and settled in for the wait. I know I didn't say kitchen. I said kitchen. I know. My words. As expected, there was a knock on the door a few minutes later. I didn't eat lunch. I plan on eating lunch. I want you to know that. But we didn't have enough cheese. We have 4 slices of cheese left. We were making burgers tonight, so I couldn't have my little sandwich. So all I had was bread. All I had was bread. Tasty bread though, but I'm a little out of it. When you got up and answered it, your neighbor was standing on the other side. He came in once you stepped inside to let him pass, giving a little wave. You greeted him as you typically did. With a wave, with a low five, with a nudge on the shoulder, with a noogie, with a hug. Give him a noogie! Hope had been expecting it, but he was still too slow to dodge. He groaned and wriggled in your arms like a fish out of water. Stop! It's too hot for this. Cole, you're completely right. You are. You offered him no mercy, knowing that he was kidding. If he really wanted to get out of this headlock, he would have done it already. Eventually, you let him go, smirking to yourself. Alright, I'm done. Cole sighed and wiped at his face a bit, noted the sheen of sweat across his brow. He must be glad to be back in an air-conditioned place, even if he only had to walk across the street to get there. So, what's with the sudden visit? I don't want to do anything. No, not when it's like this. He gestured vaguely to the humid air hanging around. I thought I could at least do nothing with you. Aw, that's sweet. You thought it was really sweet? How'd you know I was doing nothing with your plans? No, that makes sense to you. I was thinking that's sweet. That's sweet, my dude. Thanks. His words were nice and expressed real fondness for you in a strange sort of way, which was usually the case with Cove. Have you had lunch yet? I was gonna do it soon. He shook his head.
Not really.
I haven't really felt like eating because of the heat. Probably should have lunch. I didn't have breakfast this morning. Same. I didn't have breakfast either. Yeah, I get like that sometimes too. You should really eat properly. You didn't eat at all. And you gotta have something now. Great, we should eat lunch together. Yeah, I get like that sometimes too. My parents don't like when I do that though. Mine don't either. I'll ask if I ate here when I go back home. As one, you head into the kitchen. You crossed your arms as you glanced around, wondering what you should scrounge up for a meal. I don't want to eat anything that's warmed up. Is there something cold or not cooked? Yeah. After a bit of back and forth, the two of you concluded that you should raid the fridge and cabinet in order to make sandwiches. That was Jax, by the way. He was jingling. With that settled, you had planned to decide on the outside layers first. There was a wide variety to choose from, since everyone in your house had their own favorites. There was white bread, wheat bread, sourdough, mixed grains, gluten-free bread, and pita pockets. Ooh, pita pocket.
Hey.
Could you take the grain one for me? Sure. You reached for the mixed grains, then made your decision. I want a pita pocket. Ooh, cinnamon swirl bread. No. I want a pita pocket. What am I doing? You pulled out the pita pocket too, setting both items on the counter. Then you had to decide on what main direction the sandwich would go in. Do I want a sweet? No, I want a savory sandwich, please and thank you. I want you to know Milkshake has been out for delivery since 6:19 this morning, and it is almost 3. It's 2 minutes to 3. We do not live that far from the postal office. What is taking so long? What is taking so long? Something savory would make it feel like a real meal. A real meal. As for the specific ingredients, they don't got pastrami. I wish they had pastrami. I'll do turkey. Thank you for that, Jax. Turkey, lettuce, red onion, yipper-jack. For the finishing touch, you intended to top your sandwich with ranch. I don't know if ranch and pesto would taste good together. And that was everything. You nodded to yourself with a quiet hum, satisfied. The two of you bustled around the kitchen, opening and closing things in order to collect everything you needed for your individual sandwiches. You were okay, so it's showing up on the screen. Why Why is the circle thing happening? You know you do that. You focus intently on assembling your own for the most part. When you were close to being done, though, you glanced over at your neighbor. Cove was putting his sandwich together delicately, his brow furrowed and tongue sticking out just barely. There were open jars of peanut butter and honey near his plate, as well as a banana peel. So he was making a peanut butter, banana, and honey sandwich with mixed grain bread. I don't think much of it. It wasn't that surprising or interesting. Curiosity satiated, you turned back to your plate and finished your own creation. By the time you were done, Cove had already cleaned up his workstation. He turned to face you, studying your sandwich briefly. A small smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. He guessed it didn't look inedible to him at least. Done? Yeah.
Cool.
He waited as you quickly returned the ingredients and cleaned a few utensils. When the two of you collected your respective plates, you both agreed on heading upstairs to hang out in your room. You and Cove entered your bedroom while balancing your food and the plates. Nothing fell, so it was a successful trip. Cove took a seat on the ground, stretching out on the hardwood floor in an attempt to keep a bit cooler. He immediately took a big bite of his sandwich, chewed, and hummed happily. This sandwich is really good. At least something. At this point, you sat down and started on your own sandwich. Now that you were enjoying yours too, shrugged it was okay, you scrunched your face. It was okay. You had better sandwiches, but you had worse ones too. This one would do. He leaned back. Do you guys like your sandwiches? Like, do you eat them cold? 'Cause I don't. I don't care how hot it is outside. I am not eating a cold sandwich. Heat that shit up. He leaned back on his hands while chewing and glanced around. His every movement was sluggish. Wanna do something? It seemed the plan of not doing anything at all had already worn thin, despite his lack of enthusiasm. Like what? He rolled his head back, looking up at the ceiling. Oh, what about tic-tac-toe? You laughed at the suggestion, but went along with it. Yeah, neither of you have much energy for something more taxing. Sure. Why not? You put your plate to the side and pulled out some markers and scrap paper. As you laid everything on the floor, he scooted back to make more room in front of you. Cove picked up a sandwich with a picked up the sandwich? Cove picked up one of the markers with his right hand while keeping a half slice of his sandwich in his left.
All right.
I want to be X's, so you can go first. I think that's fair. Good, because I wanted to go first. You prepared to note down your first move, your marker hovering over the paper. Always gotta start in the middle. Always. Oh? After the first round, you were about to take another bite of your sandwich when a thought occurred to you. I wonder if anyone turned off the TV downstairs. The TV, it was on earlier, but no one was really watching, and everyone started leaving the living room. I know I didn't turn it off. It might still be on downstairs with no one there. Cole smiled quickly at that. Poor show, playing with no one around to enjoy it. What was it? You squinted off into the middle distance. The middle distance? What's the middle distance? Try to recall the show's name. I feel like it was some kind of crime-solving drama. Cove nodded sleepily, his eyes closed, then opened again with some effort. Can you give any specifics? Maybe I can guess it? Why do you care? Well... You rested your chin on your open palm, groggily thinking as hard as you could. I remember there was a woman with long, blonde hair, I think. She was the one solving crimes, like, as a detective or something. There were scenes in the police station because someone got arrested. You lapsed in silence, both of you thoughtful. Then Cove chuckled. It wasn't that funny, but you joined in the laughter anyway. I don't know what that is. Me neither. I just saw it. Alright. Another round came and went, and Cove grumbled as he readjusted himself. His features were twisted in a grimace. I feel so sticky. Ugh. I'm gonna be stuck to this floor forever now. Hey now, my floors are clean. I'll have to charge you rent then. You can be my new roomie if you want. Looks like we're both stuck forever. No way, I'll pay you off if I have to. No way. You can't do that. Why not? If you could, my skin won't budge. If you do, my skin won't budge. It'll just be stuck to your floor. You'll tear me in half. You stuck your tongues out, disgusted. Cove huffed in a short laugh. Then you returned to the game. Okay, you're just gonna let me win? Got it. Cove spoke up once more, catching your attention. He was peering down at the piece of paper between you, his expression thoughtful. You know, tic-tac-toe is such a weird name for a game. What does it even mean? Maybe they named it because people played it with ticks and tacks? I've always wondered about that. I'll have to look it up later. It's a really old game, not sure. Maybe it's because they played with ticks and tacks or whatever. But then what about toes? What about toes? Cove raised a skeptical brow. You bit back a laugh and feigned seriousness. It makes sense because they probably didn't have paper and markers back then. But what about the toes? You couldn't say anything to that. He had you there. No answer to be found. With no answer to be found, you returned to the game. And I won. Oop, you won. That was so easy. You didn't try at all, did you? Not really. He smiled at you in an amused way. You somehow weren't surprised by that, despite Cove being the one who suggested the game in the first place. He started to yawn, his hand coming up to cover his mouth. It quickly transitioned into a small laugh. You understood why. Yawning just as he said he was feeling disinterested was kind of a funny coincidence. You left along with Cove. Sorry, I had to yawn myself. Well, you should have taken the challenge more seriously. You're the one who wanted to play the game in the first place. I'm still the winner and you're the loser. Cove just grinned and flopped into his back, leaving his marker on the floor beside him. You stayed seated, looking your friend over as he stretched himself out. You really are so tall now. Why did I don't like that. Why did he get close? Why did he get close? Cole laughed a bit at the random topic. He propped himself up onto his elbows to meet your gaze. Why are you even bringing that up? You shrugged. It made perfect sense to you to bring it up. My mom was talking about me and Elizabeth growing up, getting bigger and stuff. What kind of stuff? Well, Mom only likes women, and Ma likes women too, but not just women. Yeah. So the two of you were engaged in conversation, and Cove got back into a sitting position. He brought a knee up and rested his arm on top of it. A wistful expression overtook his face. I wonder when I'll know how I feel about that kind of thing. You don't know? Cove shook his head. At some point, you're supposed to start liking types of people, guys or girls or whoever. But I haven't. Nothing's changed. Maybe I have to grow up more. Maybe you just don't like anybody, or maybe you like all types of people. That's normal too. Cove seemed to appreciate that thought. If the smile that appeared on his lips was any indication. Okay, what about you? Who do you like? He turned his attention to you, looking encouraging. You were starting to have physical attraction in a general way. You only seemed to feel physical attraction in specific cases and situations. You didn't really have a physical interest in other people. You didn't think you could tell if you had an interest in people physically. You know what? I'm just gonna make him this. You're starting to have romantic attraction. Everything's just gonna be general. I was having such a hard time with this word yesterday. Like, I've never had trouble with this word since, like, I don't know, 2nd grade. But now I'm just having the toughest time saying this word. But specifically, when it came to how you felt towards boys, you found them attractive, you thought you'd be happy to be with a guy someday. And how you felt about girls? You found them attractive, but you hadn't thought about being with a girl. We don't think about girls. They're cute, but we don't think about girls. For people who aren't exclusively male or female, we don't think about them either. You returned your attention to Cove. He was waiting patiently for your response. Like, yeah, they're cute, but like, are they our priority right now? No, they're not. You explained how you felt to Cove. Tell him. He nodded understandingly at your attempt to describe how you felt. And he scratched the back of his head, sheepish. I'm not really sure how we ended up talking about all that when we just started out playing tic-tac-toe. But it was good, I think. I think so too, he shrugged. It was awkward. This conversation had a mind of its own. Not a mind of its own. Cove chuckled a little bashfully. He glanced around, clearly scrambling for something else to say. So, have you gotten any new accessories or stuff recently? Oh, yeah. I can't believe I almost forgot to tell you. What? What did I get? How come the game didn't tell me I got something? The conversation took a lighter turn after that, and it felt like you got closer that afternoon. Finally, the blazing sun began to set. To your relief, the air cooled down a bit as a result. You pulled yourself off the floor, as did Cove, with some minor complaint. You both stretched your arms, groaning and yawned into your hands. You glanced out your window briefly, taking in the soft reds, pinks, and purples of the late afternoon sky. Somehow, you had made it through the scorching hot day in one piece. Cove turned towards you, motioning towards your window with his chin. Wanna go outside? Might be better out there than it is in here now. Let's do it. I'm sick and tired of being cooped up inside all day. The two of you took your time heading downstairs. You stopped briefly to grab a drink of water, then continued on your way. You stepped outside, one after the other, your destination being the familiar hills behind your house. This time of day, it was quiet outside. The flowers blew gently in the wind, petals trembling but stubbornly hanging in there. You felt the breeze cool your heated skin and you relaxed your shoulders. Cove closed his eyes, releasing a deep breath. I really love it out here. I do too. You do not surprise you, said joking. Your furniture shades that you were first on this hill. You quietly enjoyed the moment. Let's just enjoy the moment. Cove smiled. It was clear he was enjoying it too. The beat passed, but his gaze didn't stray from your own. His voice was impossibly soft when he spoke up again. I'm glad I met you, Kingsley. You're really important to me, you know? I blushed at the statement. I felt the same. That's so nice. It's so nice of you to say. You smiled silently. You're being too sweet. You're special to me, Cove. That's nice of you to say. To your surprise, he slowly shook his head. It's not nice. It's just the truth. Then Cove rested an arm on one of your shoulders, leaning against you. Oh, okay. Even as the sun disappeared completely and the sky darkened, you and Cove remained side by side for as long as you possibly could. Oh, what a nice little story. Okay, so we're gonna save. We're gonna save here, and we're gonna save here. This is gonna be Derek's file. And then this is gonna be Baxter's. I wish I could name them. Oh. Yes, load this file. Okay, we're gonna start summer work. Summer work. You stared out the window, watching the scenery pass by as your mom drove down the quiet streets at a leisurely pace. A singer crooned sweetly from the radio, turned low enough that you could block it out if you wanted. You turned away from the window when your mom suddenly spoke up. Well, kids, are you excited to be going to the library? I guess. You don't sound so sure there, Kingsley. Mom wasn't wrong. It was what it was, but your real interest lay elsewhere. What about you, Cove? You're part of the conversation too. I can work better there than at home. It's good we're going, I think.
Sounds good.
Well, I'm happy this will be of use to you. Just make sure you're not distracted by one another. That would defeat the purpose of the trip. Girl, I'm not interested in him. She grinned over at you briefly, so you knew she was kidding and meant nothing by it. Mom refocused on driving, humming along with the radio under her breath. You went back to staring outside. As you passed one street, you caught a glimpse of someone in brightly colored clothing passing out balloon animals. It was an absolutely gorgeous day. You leaned your face to the sunshine, tempted to close your eyes as the gentle rays warmed your cheeks. Kingsley. Huh? You lifted yourself up a bit more, seeing your mom twisting her torso to face you, confused from the front seat of the car. Next to you was nothing. Cove's car door was already open. You hadn't reached the destination before you had even realized it. I was asking what time should I pick you two up? Oh, 4 should be okay. That should give you enough time to finish your summer assignments, or at least make a large enough dent. Thanks, Mom. You hop out of the car, remembering to grab your backpack at the last second. Alright then, have fun, you two. Yeah, fun. Your mom snorted, but you couldn't help pouting a little. A beautiful afternoon like this, and you were going to the library to do homework. The two of you went right to the door of the library. Cove reached it first and tugged it open, stepping inside. He kept it propped open so you could pass through behind him. The air was much cooler inside the building than it had been for the few seconds you spent outdoors. The space was filled with soft din of papers being moved and whispered voices. Hey, you seem kind of distracted on the ride here. Just enjoying the day. I'm excited to see Derek. Cove nodded a little, but he didn't say anything in response. Your study buddy was standing at the front of the library by a long rack of magazines. Look how precious he is. He's so adorable. Predictably, he was slipping through one of the various sports players on the cover, looking intense enough to burst off the page. His head snapped up when you walked over, beaming widely. Hey, Kingsley. Cove? Hi, were you waiting for a while? Not super long. Derek put the magazine back in its place, then he gestured to the space at his side. Most of the tables were empty, only a few leafing through books. Only a few people leafing through books. There's plenty of room. In unspoken agreement, the three of you started moving towards the seating area, Derek taking 2 steps for every one of Cove's. Oh, guess what? I'm pretty sure I've mastered the fake shot. I'll show you some other time. Derek looked over to gauge the level of interest. Do you know it? Soccer is not really for me. How does it go? Derek's eyes flashed with excitement as he explained. Well, you move the ball like you're going to go one way. Then, he demonstrated by running a few steps ahead, showing off some fancy footwork. You do it like this, so it does it like that. You laughed, bobbing your head at his attempt to get the trick across with no ball. The three of you looked over at the checkout desk. The librarian stood behind it and was wearing a deep frown. You felt bad, you were apologetic. You didn't think it was a big deal. You were apologetic. You mouthed sorry as she sighed before turning back to the book she was reading. Derek scratched his cheek, choosing not to let that derail things. So, what are you guys working on? What weren't you working on? No, don't start it like that, maybe actually. There were some things you gotta start with. What weren't you working on? That's for me. I was asking him. Okay, wow. You had to start a single assignment because you didn't feel like it. There were some things you had gotten started with. There were some things I got started with. But it was still early in the summer, so there was a lot left. I think I'll work on my history assignment. I've got math problems that need work. I don't care. I don't know. I'll let fate decide and do whatever I pull out of my bag first. Some summer reading too. I have to go through an assigned book, but I'm gonna do that later since it doesn't need extra references or anything. What about you two? I have a few worksheets. They look pretty easy, but my school gave us 3 books to read. Can't they stick with just one? I'm doing a timeline for history. You all found a table close to the tall bookshelves and set up camp. Within seconds, pencils and folders and books were strewn out on the surface. Ready for the grand reveal? Without waiting for a response, you closed your eyes, pulled a book from your bag, and put it on the table like a trump card in a poker game. You opened your eyes to find your history book before you. The matter had been settled. Well, me and Cove are doing the same thing. Focus on your work, you looked up. I'm doodling. I love doodling on my homework. I used to do it all the time. You slightly sketched on the paper, your tongue poking out between your lips as you did. What were my interests again? I do not remember a single interest I said, besides, I don't know, fashion. I said journalism too, didn't I? I think so. You were in the middle of attempting a shark with toothy jaws open wide when you felt someone looking at you. You glanced up, seeing Cove looking over your scribbles. Cove's eyes rose to meet yours. Are you gonna do the rest? Add the second dorsal fin? He pointed to the spot on the unfinished shark. Yeah, thanks. You push forward with your scribbly creation. What is loading on this computer that is making a little spinny circle here? Do I need to get my task manager out? What is doing things? Ooh, okay, so. The CPU lately has been a bit weird. It's been, dangerous. I don't know what's happening with that. After some time, Cove shifted in his seat, twisting his back as if trying to work knots out of it. Let me guess, your soul's crying out for the sea. The corner of Cove's mouth twitched into a smile. I'll have to settle for walking around the library for a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna stay here. I'm making good progress. I'll stay too. If you didn't want to break your concentration, have to get back into it. You got on with your work? How's your assignment coming along? Derek flashed you a grin. He's whizzing by, no problems. How about yours? It's closer to being done than it was this morning. It was going okay. At this rate, I'm never going to finish it. It's going really great. It's going really great. It is. Nice. But weird to think that we'll be back at school soon, huh? Yeah, new school year. Are you looking forward to it? Wouldn't say I was looking forward to it, but this year's gonna be the year. The year of what?
Right.
The year I'm on the team. He pumped his fist in the air and momentarily became too loud for a library again. Derek, I need you to calm down, bud. Be mindful. The team? Which one? Football or soccer? Why not both? You don't know which. Good luck. You didn't comment saying if he would elaborate. One. ¿Por qué no los dos? That'd be pretty sweet, but I need to give it my all, whatever it is. Can't split my focus for forever. Thing is, I haven't figured out how I'm gonna pick. I'd have more time to practice and get real good if I stuck with just one. I don't know. If it makes you happy, 2 sports mean double the number of teams you can try for. Simply listen to him. Pick the one you do best in already. I vote for soccer, I vote for football. Do what makes you happy. I'm happy playing both, but I'd be happier being better. Hey, how about you? What's the school year got in store for you? I want to learn a skill, I want to get a sports team too, lots of fun, naps if I'm lucky at work. I don't want to think about it. That was me. I don't want to think about it. Kingsley will survive. You continue solving visions of the year ahead until Cove returned. With the start, you realized that a solid 15 minutes had slipped by. It was only felt with a few moments. With fresh minds, you all turned back to your work. The sound of shuffling dragged you out of your head. You looked up, surprised to see Derek packing up. You're done? Derek casually shrugged, but you could tell he felt proud to be the first finished. Told you it wasn't anything hard. Which one was that easy? Was it worth coming to the library for that? What are you gonna do now? You wondered how Derek was gonna spend his newfound freedom.
Maybe.
I could look over what you're doing. Maybe I got some tips that'll help. No, great, thanks. No thanks, you nodded your head yes. You know, not my head yet. Come over. I gotcha. With a smile, Derek leaned over your part of the table. He took some time to get the gist of the point in the right direction before turning it back over to you. Derek leaned on the back of his feet. He leaned on the back of his feet? How do you lean on the back of your feet? How does that work? I'm confused. Okay, I'm gonna look around while you guys finish. See you. Bye.
Bye.
See you. Later on, Cove shifted in his seat, closing his book as he looked over the notes he'd been taking. Glancing away, you contemplated what you had done thus far, too. To finish most of the assignments, you'd say there was about half. Let's say we finished most of the assignments. I don't got time for all this bullshit. Just as you thought, had it been that difficult. You were sure you'd be able to complete your other work next time. Derek's advice made it easier in the end. Oh, that's so cute. Are you about ready? It's almost 4. Yeah, I think so. Come on. Both of you gathered up your books, and after returning the ones you'd used for reference to their proper shelves, set off to find wherever Derek had wandered off to. He was in the biography section. His back was to the two of you, one hand above his head and the other supporting himself against the shelf as he strained to grab one of the books. Hey Derek, we're ready.
Okay.
Okay. Glanced towards the sound of your voice, then up towards the shelf he was trying to reach. I can get that for you. Yeah. Thanks, Kingsley. Derek directed you towards the book he wanted. It was an autobiography of someone you'd never heard of before. And then the 3 of you moved to the front of the library to wait for your rides. You stood close to the window and let out a content sigh, feeling the rays warm you from the slightly chilly library interior. As your assignments were more exciting, you stared into space. Got any plans after this? I'm gonna work on my technique. Can't get rusty while school's out. That answer was inevitable. Technique for what? Soccer. How about you two? You considered the question, mostly in case your moms had something penciled in for the evening that you'd forgotten. Nothing planned. Me neither. Oh, that's my dad's car. Derek lifted a hand to wave, pushing the door open, heading towards the blue pickup truck waiting in the parking lot. A blue pickup truck, you say? See ya, Kingsley. Bye, Cove. You watched Derek jog off before scanning the area for your mom. Did you get everything done? You got lost in thought. Did you get everything done, brother? Almost. I saw you're basically done. He smiled impressed. You felt pretty good about that. I feel like I'll need to come back to the library again before summer's over. I'll come with you. I still have those books to read anyway. You better, I'm not going alone. He chuckled. Let's do something when we get back. Maybe the beach? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It was always easy to please that way. The two of you smiled at each other. It wasn't long before you spied your mom's car coming down the road. There she is. Time to go then? You climbed into the car, sliding into your usual seats and buckling the belts. Hey kiddos, did you get a lot done? Yeah.
Nice.
The car shifted into action and you watched as the library shrunk to the distance. It wouldn't be the last time you saw it this summer, but at least you knew you were going to have company. You chatted easily with Mom about the day, while you juggled a conversation with Cove. When she learned you two were planning on returning, she immediately offered to give you a ride next time. You continued to answer Mom's questions about what you've been working on, then told her about your plans to stick with Cove after getting back. But soon enough, the trip was over. You had to ride back to your neighborhood. Cove had run over to his house real quick to drop off his stuff. You also made a pit stop to put your backpack away before heading out again. The two of you regrouped in the middle of the road, halfway between your houses, just in the middle of the road, obstructing traffic. With everything wrapped up, you could now really enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Your conversation resumed as you both began walking down the street together. The afternoon came and went. Hold on, what's this? My package is here! Okay, afternoon came and went, dinner was eaten, and you were cleaning up the dishes left behind from it. Cove had elected to stay for the meal today. He passed you a couple plates to rinse in the sink. Even though he didn't have to, Cove asked to do at least something to help. You scrubbed the last of them and let out a satisfied sigh. Okay, we're done. I'm going upstairs now. You dressed your guests for the evening. You wanna come? Yeah, I don't have to go back till later. Take it easy, kids. Thank you for the help. When you got back to your room, you noticed your backpack from earlier. You figured it would be best to unpack the stuff you needed before going to bed. You know what? I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be right back. I'm not going on BRD. It's just, I don't trust people. Porch pirates and all that. Honestly, so surprised that Jax didn't bark. He loves barking. One of his favorite pastimes. He's here! Is she flat? She here and flat. Thank you! Oh, sticker! Hold on, did I get anything else? Last time I got something for Trigger Share, so there were other things in here. Other stickers. There seems to be none. Tis okay. Tis okay. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Sorry for the crazy. I'm gonna put her down. I'm not gonna open her. I just wanted to see that she was here. Okay, back to the game. You go back to your room. You notice your backpack from earlier. You figured it would be best to unpack the stuff you needed before going to bed. Oh, Cove plopped into your desk chair, and it spun around a bit as he got comfortable. He watched you contentedly as you walked across the room. He didn't need or expect you to try entertaining him constantly. It was just nice to be near each other, even when nothing was going on. You hefted your bag up onto the bed. It sunk into the comforter. With that, you started to sort through books and paper packets. Not all of it were things you needed anytime soon. A small pile of the most important assets began to grow at the side of your backpack until you'd gone over it all. You had actually finished flipping through the contents, but that wasn't all of your work. You instinctively pulled the opening closer to you and peered inside. A second look through commenced, and a third, and then you began to open the smaller pockets. You were missing your history assignment. Oh no. Kingsley? Well, this time Cove could tell something was wrong. That was part of your summer work that you had gotten done, and now it was gone. It hadn't been that noteworthy before, but the bag wasn't really zipped when you had first begun to look through. The work could have fallen out somewhere if you had it in the first place. You were upset by the revelation, but you made yourself stay calm. You tried to panic. All you could do was shrug. Your stress level was shot up. It was best to think positive, but you felt paralyzed. I'm upset, but we're gonna stay calm. You caught the problem early. There was still time to make it right. You couldn't lose your head. My history work isn't in my backpack. At your word, Cove jumped out of his seat. Oh crap, is there somewhere we can look? The bag was kind of open, so... He winced sympathetically. That left a lot of options for where it might be, most of them bad. You resolved to check the spot the backpack was originally left in. It couldn't hurt to look. With nothing in sight there, you expanded the search to the rest of the space. Cove did his best to stay out of your way, while keeping an eye open for your missing work. It was a fruitless effort. Your assignment wasn't here. Let's check downstairs. It might still be in your house someplace. Fine.
How are you?
Well, hello again. Is everything alright? That's what your mom was going on. Telling her, Mom, I didn't find my homework. I unpacked my bag and one of my assignments wasn't there.
I am so sorry.
Sweetie, I'm so sorry. What's missing? An assignment for school from the library today. Mom's eyebrows raised with concern at the answer. It's a pickle. I'll call right now. I think they might still be open. Thanks, Mom. Don't worry about it. That's not gonna help. You let her go without a word. Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Just leave it to me. Cove, honey, can you tell us if there was anything you noticed? You were with Kingsley, right? I saw the assignment with Kingsley, had it out. I saw the assignment with Kingsley, had it out at the library. I don't remember him putting it away, but I'm pretty positive there was nothing left on the table when we were done. He spoke resolutely. Before now, he hadn't considered that something might have been left behind. You had felt the same when leaving, though it was hard not to second-guess things now. Your mom re-entered the scene a few minutes later, and the look on her face was not promising.
Well,
So, I got a hold of one of the librarians. They don't have any papers with your name on it. Not that they could see anyway. I'm sorry. Thanks for trying, okay? You had no... Thanks for trying. Of course. Sorry it was a bust. It's not your fault. Kingsley, hey, let's go over to my house. I can check my bag. Maybe I took it when we were packing up and didn't notice. Alright. Things were pretty heavy here with your mom's worrying. Maybe he needed to get away from it, or maybe he thought you needed a chance to get away from it. Let's go. Cove nodded and made his way to the door. Your mom stood by with creased brows. Take care, kids. Good luck. Bye, moms. You briskly made the trip across the street, and in less than a minute you were going through the threshold of Cove's house. Cove had been in a rush earlier today, too. His backpack was tossed on the couch without a thought. No one had moved it since then. You can sit down or anything. I'm gonna look. He lifted up the backpack and zipped it in a foot motion. You were left to wait as he rooted around inside with an unexpected level of seriousness. He accepted his offer of hospitality and took a seat. It was actually starting to get to you now. Let's take a seat. Let's calm down. Take a breather. It wasn't possible to stop Cove in his quest, so you tried to relax in the meantime. Eventually, he sighed heavily. Cove's arms was still tucked away inside, but the search was over.
sorry.
It was obvious there wasn't much of a chance Cove somehow had it this whole time. You just shrugged. That's alright. He dropped the backpack to the floor unceremoniously and spoke with a cautious tone.
Are you okay?
Is it? You're really okay? It's not like I forgot what I did. It's kind of annoying to have to write it a second time, but it won't be hard. Thanks for worrying about me. That's cool. I'm glad. Cove laughed lightly, and you noticed a small shake to it. He was clearly relieved you were going to get through this. It was sweet. He had been more upset about the loss than you. I think it's admirable how you can keep together like that. You were flattered he thought so. You were grateful towards him. You sadly accepted the praise. I'm grateful towards him. At least he looked for me. That's a friend right there. Thanks, Cove. It's easier to feel okay because you're with me. He had to gain some courage to be that forward. Returning the favor was too much for him, and Cove broke eye contact. Kingsley, come on. And the moment was interrupted by the piercing ring of a Holden home phone. You wordlessly stared at one another with raised brows. Cove's mouth formed a tiny frown. Kyra appeared from the hall on the far side of the living room, summoned by the noise. Hey, Cove. Hi, Kingsley. I didn't know you were here. She strode on past. Her eyes followed her. Your eyes followed her. Cove's mom answered the call, giving a chipper greeting to whoever was on the other end. A few ahs, later, Kyra thanked the person and placed the phone down once more. Kingsley, that was your mom. She said your stuff was in the car. What? Really? That's what I was told. Now, I'll just return to the guest room. You can have your privacy. Privacy? Nothing's happening here, ma'am. Nothing is happening here. Not a romantic thought in sight. Cove's face cycled from shock to sour as his mom made her escape, laughing. He shook the interruption off and refocused on you. They've got it. As you guessed, this wasn't going to be a big deal. They've got it. Cove smiled crookedly and shrugged one shoulder. You should probably head to your house. Your moms might want to talk to you. Yeah, my parents really care about me. They had kept searching even after you left, and because of that, it all worked out. Cove nodded in agreement. Hey, Cove. Thanks for being here. He brightened up with the sparkling eyes. Anytime, Kingsley. While stepping toward the door together, there was a thought in your head that you knew to be true. You were going to be there for one another with the small things and when it came to big things. Are we besties? Are we besties galore? Okay, I'm gonna save. Yes. That means it's time to do Derek's DLC. I think we can squeeze in like 3. Maybe not. Maybe 1 or 2 more DLCs. Responsible. The pool of Derek's condo complex was a perfect setting for a late morning outing. It was early enough that the day hadn't yet reached its hottest. The air still held the crispness of morning. Despite its pleasantness, only you and Derek were there. Of course, given the location of the ocean, maybe everyone else who felt like waterside fun was at the beach. You usually were. The warm roughness of tiles felt odd on your bare feet as you walked further into the pool area. There was no sand to squish between your toes or sharp shells to avoid. You surveyed the area while Derek finished putting his stuff away on a chair. The chlorine was sharp in your senses and the entire space was so orderly. Lounge chairs sat in neat rows, umbrellas spaced out uniformly. The depth of the pool was marked out in the clear text along the sides. Every single element was intentionally and expertly crafted to be convenient for its human visitors. It was extremely different from the wild mistress of the sea. You liked the plastic pools more, you liked the sandy beach with rolling waves more, you liked both the pool. You weren't a fan of either. You know what, I think I like the pools more. I think I do. Because, like, at least I know how high the water is. I can't get swept out into the sea. That's just me, though. I mean, I've never really been to the beach, but I've been to pools. Plenty of pools. The ocean was always so unpredictable and chaotic. The waves were never this calm. I do love the ocean. I want a yacht. I do. I want a yacht so bad. Plus, the beach had sand, gritty, coarse sand that got everywhere. You could really see the appeal of a pool that let you swim, but was designed for a relaxing experience. In my like ridiculous fantasy where I'm rich, I have a mansion, basically a castle with a garden, and acres, and I have a yacht. I just want the simple life, you know? The simple life I say is I'm asking for millions on millions. This has been Derek's plan. He let you know about it ahead of time so you could be dressed for the occasion. You wore a one-piece swimsuit, You wear a two-piece, you wear swim trunks, you wear a wetsuit. I'll just wear my swim trunks. And t-shirt, shorts, a t-shirt and shorts, a shawl cover up. You're comfortable in that. T-shirt and shorts. Your swimming gear was familiar even if the pool wasn't. You felt prepared. Look at him! All stanced up! He's so cute! Derek bound up to you in his own swim trunks, flagrantly ignoring the no running signs in his enthusiasm. Watch, I'm gonna do a cannonball. As soon as he knew he had your attention, he took off to the deep end of the pool. He built up speed and then leapt into the water. His curled up body created a huge splash on impact. What are all these notifications? Light rain. Okay, it's expected to rain soon. You laughed, you applauded, you smiled, you gasped, you dashed away from the flying water. Let's laugh. Your initial surprise snort turned into a full-bodied laugh as you saw him continue to show underwater. Continue the show, not continue to show, Christ. Still curled in a ball, he rolled forward and completely flipped himself over. He stayed under for a while longer. He touched the pool's bottom before he kicked himself back upward. When Derek's head popped out of the water, he swam to the edge of the pool and propped himself up with a grin. He watched you expectantly. You jumped into the pool, you walked over to the steps of the pool to get in. But let's just dip our feet in. Dip our little feeties in. You settled yourself next to Derek, grimacing slightly at sitting on the damp concrete. Slowly, you lowered your toes down to the water. The pool was comfortably cool after a moment of judgment, a very nice treat after walking on the tile. As you enjoyed the moment, your thoughts fell back to how you'd gotten here. Last night, Derek had called with a different sort of request. You remembered that his voice had been a mix of nerves and hope. He had a favor to ask. Very unexpected for him. Derek's mom needed him to watch his little brothers in the afternoon. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary, but that was part of his problem. Lately, he had feared that his sports skills weren't as sharp as he wanted them to be. He hadn't been able to practice soccer or football without the distraction of keeping an eye on his brothers. His idea to fix this had been to ask you for your help watching the kids. If you agreed to go to the park with him and his brothers, then you could manage his brothers while he had a chance to focus on practice. That's how he explained it. Not him having me. Am I getting paid for this, Derek? Or is my payment just watching you play? Watching your chaotic brother? You said yes, and your moms have been more than happy to let you spend the day playing support for Derek. They said it would be a good opportunity to take on some more responsibility. To sweeten the deal, Derek suggested that you come by early so that you could hit the pool. Nicholas would be sleeping in, and George could spend some one-on-one time with Mrs. Suarez. That's so cute. I love family moments. So far, the plan had worked out. Ma dropped you off about 15 minutes ago, and both Derek's brothers were fully occupied. Mrs. Suarez and Jorge were back in... Did I call him George? Is this pronounced George? I need to look this up now. I'm pretty sure this is Jorge. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 97% sure. Girl, not the ad. You're not gonna put an ad. Polar bears. Anyway. This ad needs to hurry up.
Do you pronounce it Jorge?
Jorge?
In Spanish, I know it's quite a mouthful if you don't speak Spanish.
Why did he say it like that? Jorge. Okay, I'm just gonna say Jorge. I was right the first time. Miss Suarez in. If you can see the way my dog is looking at me right now, he's like, "Are you okay?" Mrs. Suarez and Jorge were back in the condo, putting together an 800-piece puzzle on the kitchen counter while Nicholas snoozed on the couch. 800-piece puzzle, babes. I can't even do a 50-piece puzzle. 100-piece puzzle, no. You had time to kick back before the moment came to be in charge of small children. A slooshing sound pulled you back to the present. Derek had climbed out of the pool. I'm gonna jump again. Wanna join? Well, yeah, let's go. You sprung to your feet and reversed away from the edge until it seemed like enough room. Poised to go, you and Derek made eye contact. He leaned forward, balancing on the balls of his feet.
No worries.
I've already done one. It's your turn. Okay. Oh my god, I'm not gonna belly flop. That's gonna hurt. Can I backflip? Over your hand to Derek so you can jump at the same time. Oh my god, that's so cute. That's what we're picking. That's what we're picking. Let's hold hands. Oh. Derek accepted your hand eagerly and you ran towards the pool together. No. Woo! You left and flailed your arms for a split second. Derek lifted your arms into the air and kicked a foot out before you landed in the water. You stretched out and reached up towards the surface, parting your arms to paddle over to dry ground. Derek was laughing boisterously. It was his turn next, but by the curve of his grin and the lift of his chin, he looked to be in a mood to impress. His eyebrows drew together in a deep furrow as he considered his launch. Derek took a few bounding steps to the edge, jumped up, and tucked his body in. Unlike his previous cannonball, the energy went into the spin and he flipped, making a full rotation before he crashed to the surface. Oh my, he's that athletic? I can't do a backflip. I used to be able to do backbends, but I can't do them anymore. I'm not that athletic. I used to be kind of athletic in my youth, but now that I'm old, I'm so unathletic. The water droplets from the splash dazzled you as you exploded out from his impact. He swam under the water and only came back to the surface after he reached the wall of the pool. He snaked his hands up to the top of the— what is this face? To the top of the tiles and pushed himself up so that his hips were even with the edge. He twisted and practically rolled out of the pool from there. You're up. Okay. Can I do it again? No, we're not. We'll do. Let's do it. Let's cartwheel into a pool. That's so dangerous. That's definitely not allowed at a public pool. You position yourself carefully before springing into action. You ran, and then launched off of 1 foot while starting to raise your arms. I love doing cartwheels though. Cartwheels are so fun to do. The momentum carried into your body as you placed one hand sideways and the other struck the very edge of the pool. For a split second, you were balanced on your hands as your feet tumbled through the air. However, instead of finding solid ground, you landed in the water with a great big splash. I'm glad I could impress. You kept switching back and forth, trading off between silly jumps and then more impressive tricks. From watching Derek's well-practiced dives to performing your own jumps, there was never a boring second. How long have we been doing this? How long have we been doing this? And is your mom ready to leave yet? After several leaps, Derek called a break time and you took a breather at the back stairs to the pool. You guys must be really smelly too. Because have you ever been to a pool and you're just there for a long time, you get real musty real quick. Like the smells, especially boys, oh my gosh, no. Both of you are gonna have to take a shower. Both of you, me and you, separately though. Because that's weird if we take one together, we're children. You waited for your strained heart rate to even out from all the exertion. After a pause of silence, Derek spoke up. He pulled his fist at his cheek and thought, squishing his face slightly.
So,
Hey, I probably should have asked before, but have you ever babysat someone before? Has Kingsley? I don't think so. Have I? Yes, many times. No, is that bad? No, but how hard could watching a couple kids be? Oh my gosh. You would not believe. Sometimes I babysat for someone my mom's friends. Is babysitting a dog count? Derek chuckled and slapped his knee. Not him slapping his knee like an old timer. Nicholas is above any puppy, but that's still something. But I'll be right here if anything goes down. He shrugged. At least his brothers probably wouldn't start chewing on random things, right? No, I wouldn't put it past. I especially would not put it past Nicholas. He looks like he's a biter. You were eager to take on the job. You felt nervous about being in charge. You were curious to see how experience would go. You were prepared for it to be a pain, but would do it anyway for Derek. Of course, we're always doing it for Derek. This wouldn't rank in your top 10 days of summer vacation, but Derek was worth some hassle. That's so cute. Oh, I love little romance options. Out of that interlude, you both continued to enjoy yourselves and your freedom until a little beeping alarm went off. It's time. He made his way to the lounge chair with his stuff and dug out a small portable clock. It buzzed until he found the stop button. Derek checked the time and narrowed his eyes at the glowing red numbers. He shot you a thumbs up.
Let's go.
Let's go up. You helped him gather the towels, grab the rest of the stuff, and then tried to drip as little as possible while rushing through the halls of the complex. When he reached his apartment, he dumped everything in his arms on the ground and scrambled to find his key. You could have just handed me the stuff, Derek. Just give me a second. I don't want to knock or anything in case Nicholas is still asleep. He finally spied his soccer ball keychain and stashed up his keys from where they were tangled in his towel. You know what? He's saying he can't choose between soccer and football, but I really think he's gonna pick soccer. He inserted the key into the lock, and both of you shuffled inside the Suarez home. Oh, that was nice. Okay. Three heads swiveled to face the two of you, gazes being drawn to the bundles of neon towels coming in. How many towels did we have? We only need 2. Maybe 4, but like more than 2 towels each is doing the most. Miss Suarez and Jorge were sitting on bar stools while Nicholas perched on the counter itself with an excited grin. They were working on a puzzle. On her left, Derek leaned closer and spoke under his breath. He's awake. This is so cute though. Look at him, he's so adorable. Quick as a blink, Nicholas scrambled on his hands and feet and zipped across the black marble on the counter. Tiny cardboard puzzle pieces scattered. Nicholas, a puzzle! Despite Rory's frustration, the little whirlwind didn't seem to hear. He was on a mission to reach his big brother and not even stopping when he hit the end of the counter. Nicholas stumbled off the edge and Derek instinctively moved forward with a gasp. Dropping all his pool stuff except the towel and wrapped around him. That's so funny. Oh my gosh, Nicholas, be careful. Miss Suarez caught Nicholas with her forearms, hooking under his chest, snatching him from midair. Oof. She hugged her son, holding him securely against her body. A chorus of relieved sighs filled the room. Nicholas still paid no mind to his troubled disasters and began to squirm. He just wanted down already. Are you sure he's not? He's just like a puppy. I don't understand what you're saying. He's more than a puppy. At least he can talk. The puppies can't talk. Derek took another few steps forward, making his way over to the scene. Miss Suarez carefully held Nicholas out. You know what? Puppies do like to nap though. 6-year-olds don't really like to nap. They like to be out and about, so I guess puppy sitting is different than babysitting. Miss Suarez carefully held Nicholas out, her hands under his armpits, and safely set him down on his feet. Nicholas immediately wrapped his arms around Derek's legs. Derek chuckled while tugging up at his towel so Nicholas wouldn't pull it off. Hold on, Nico, you're gonna get wet. Nicholas giggled mischievously and snuggled closer. Derek snuck a quick peek over his shoulder back at you and shrugged. Just as warned, Nicholas now had a damp splash on his shirt. Hey everybody, told Nicholas he'd worried you. You asked Jorge if this puzzle was alright. Nicholas, I'm here too, you know, you waited behind Derek quietly. Hey everybody! Hello, welcome Kingsley. Jorge hummed something that could have been a greeting as he frowned at what remained of the puzzle. Poor Jorge, he's just trying to live his simple little introverted life. I love Jorge. We stand Jorge. It was more than Nicholas who gave no response at all. Mrs. Suarez's tone was warm with a certain amount of humor to it. She rubbed her hands together and stood up. Derek and Kingsley are in charge now. Make sure you listen to them. Jorge sadly picked at the puzzle pieces, but gave a grumbled noise to signify he had heard. I'm going to head off to my appointment, girl. Where you going? Why am I nosy? Why am I being nosy? She's doing adult business, and we're not adults right now. I am nosy though, just naturally. She went to gather some things. I would 100%, as soon as his mom left, I would definitely be like, so where's your mom going? She went to gather some things, officially putting you and Derek in charge, but there wasn't 1 second to settle into your new position. We're going swimming? Nicholas looked up and stared with huge shining eyes. Derek reflectively stiffened. How would he escape the puppy dog look? Derek's eyebrows creased, a small sign of nerves compared to the smooth, placating sound of his voice. No, even better. He leaned down and lowered his voice like he was about to share a secret. We're gonna go to the park. Nicholas instantly frowned. He wasn't convinced by Derek's act. He grabbed at Derek's towel. You were swimming. Yeah, but I'm not anymore. I'm going to the park and you can come with me. This poor child. The little Suarez whined and stomped his foot. His hands balled up around the neon fabric harshly enough he almost took the towel from Derek. I want to go to the pool! I want to see Kingsley's swimsuit! What? Derek's jaw dropped. Neither of you were prepared for that one. You're 100% right. I'm not prepared for that. Did you hear Nicholas right? You looked down at yourself, currently wrapped in a brightly fuzzy towel. A bright fuzzy towel. You switched your gaze to Derek's younger brother, your brain trying to make sense of what was happening. Why would you want that? Why does Nicholas want anything? Jorge rolled his eyes and continued mumbling into the counter. It was obvious to him, but he couldn't believe the rest of you were taking so long to catch up. Because Derek does. Because Derek does what? Want to see my swimsuit? He's already seen my swimsuit. Felt stunned, you couldn't help feeling amused. You suddenly felt extremely bashful. You only felt more confused. You didn't know what to do. I'm more confused than anything. Derek rolled his eyes and whispered harshly, Nicholas, Jorge, you're gonna put me into an early grave. He took a deep breath as he stared at the ceiling. It took him a moment to face you. His voice was firm, but someone at his level... His voice was firm for someone at his level of embarrassment. Oh, is he embarrassed? He must have said something about hoping you'd remember to bring your swimsuit. I was excited for us to be able to swim, so I did want you to have one. Nicholas does not actually want to see you in a swimsuit. He doesn't even know why you'd want that. He's just saying stuff. Uh-huh. Sure, Derek. Sure, Jan. You nodded your head at his explanation. That made a little more sense. You snuck another look at Nicholas. He had crossed his arms high in his chest and squished his neck down far enough to rest his chin on his wrist. I want to go swimming! His pout intensified when he said it again. He was a very angry little baby. Isn't he 6? What do you mean, baby? Like a whole child. Derek tilted back on his heels, once again driven to look at the ceiling by the strain of this kid. You glanced up there yourself without thinking about it. It was a calm white color with a few light fixtures, and I'm loving that you don't have popcorn ceilings because popcorn ceilings are the worst kind of ceiling. Disgusting. When you squinted, you noticed something small and green. It appeared to be one of those sticky hands for kids. Wait, I wish they would have incorporated this on the ceiling here. That would have been so funny. Is this another present from those youngest Suarez? You turned back into Derek. He appeared to have made a decision. Alright, I promise that you can go swimming too, but only after the park. We'll go to the pool as soon as we come back. With the promise officially made, Nicholas lit up. He snatched one of Derek's hands. Let's go! We gotta go to the park so I can swim! While Nicholas celebrated, Derek closed his eyes and some of the worried creases on his face smoothed out. Derek, there's a lunch packed in the fridge. Dad will be back before dinner. Gotcha! Thanks, Mom!
Have a good one.
Will do, Mrs. Suarez. Mrs. Suarez waved and collected the last of her things, her purse off of the side table. She ruffled Jorge's hair on her way out. You and Derek were alone with the kids. We know who her favorite is. We know who her favorite is, and it's Jorge. We should really stop leaving puddles everywhere. He gestured at the drops of water pooling at his feet. You read my mind. You and Derek took turns changing. You went first, while you could faintly hear Derek impressing his brothers to listen to you too. You must have convinced them to behave for now, as neither Jorge nor Nicholas acted up when Derek took his turn drying off and clothing himself. Can you get our lunch from the fridge? I'm gonna pack my gear. No problem. You walked casually to the kitchen. Jorge hadn't moved from his bar stool even once since you'd gotten back. Meanwhile, Nicholas followed Nicholas. Nicholas followed Nicholas. Meanwhile, Nicholas followed Derek like a possessed shadow that was even more energetic than the original. He zipped around, occasionally trying to place things in Derek's backpack for him. So far, Derek had set no to the rubber duck, but he had agreed to bring an extra pair of socks that Nicholas had determined were absolutely necessary. Okay, got everything. Derek returned with the backpack in one hand and Nicholas' small hand in the other. We're going, Jorge. Ready, Kingsley? I was born ready. That's a lie. Actually, no, maybe it's not. Sure. He pushed away from the counter and finally hopped off his chair with the enthusiasm of a plank of wood. We're going! Derek hid his smile as Nicholas' echo ushered everyone outside. He locked the condo behind him and began the trip to the nearby park. The park for the Suarez boys was the big park for your family. Their condo complex was only a short distance to the public outdoor recreational area your mom sometimes drove you to. It was still a beautiful day outside and had only gotten a few degrees warmer from your morning swim. The field was bustling with other groups of people enjoying themselves. Derek led the way to the wide open part of the grass that no one else was using. He stopped in the middle of the field and turned 180 degrees to face the little boys behind him. He shrugged his backpack off his shoulder and dropped it to the ground. He knelt down to root around inside it. Jorge and Nicholas waited in place for their brother. Derek gathered a couple things in his arms before pushing off the ground with his knee to get up again. He held a football in his left hand and a soccer ball in his right. Alright, Nicholas, Jorge, I've got practice. But you can too. Which one do you want? Football! Real ball! What? What do you mean real ball? They're both real balls. You raised an eyebrow at their shouts. Derek leaned over to you and whispered with a laugh. He means the soccer ball. It's real because it's actually ball shaped. You know what? I should have figured that out. I should have. Is that a problem? They want both. Derek simply grinned. I thought so. He tossed Jorge the football first. Jorge caught it from out of the air with one hand and began to bounce it up and down in his fingers, feeling the weight of it. Leilani, welcome in. How are you doing, beautiful? Nice to see you. Derek popped the soccer ball gently over to Nicholas, who watched his brother intently. Nicholas had to catch it with both hands. He wrapped his arms around the ball and hugged it to his chest. With his brothers taken care of, Derek crouched again to reveal a third ball. He'd brought a second soccer ball. Derek had been prepared. Oh, see, I knew he wanted to play soccer. He then sprung back to his feet, another problem diverted. Hey, Nicholas, you can use this half of the field. I'll use that half. Kingsley can be your ref, so don't go too far from him, alright? Okay. Jorge tossed the football in the air, preoccupied, and it spun in an arc downward. I'm gonna practice! Nicholas embraced the soccer ball tighter, pressing his cheek into it. He's such a card. You wondered just how he'd practice it when the equipment was about as big as his head. Damn, you gotta call him out like that. The child looked completely content with the world, but Derek's eyes narrowed. Once again, he shared some Nicholas info into your ear. Oh? Watch him. It's not over. He copies what I say, but it's not what he means. You snuck a peek at Nicholas. He appeared so innocent, clutching his ball and staring at a patch of clover in the field. Listen, I understand children, okay? I know Nicholas is up to no good. I already can tell. But you'd interacted with him enough to not question his potential for trouble. You'd make sure to keep an eye on the kid. Don't worry, I got this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kingsley. You're a lifesaver. Derek held his soccer ball in both hands and cheered. Bye, bros. Bye. Bye, bro. Derek put on a smile as he picked up his bag, tucked his soccer ball under an arm, and jogged to his side of the field. He didn't have time to lose. You stood with the younger Suarez boys, effectively turned loose. Jorge stared at you with an uncertainty, while Nicholas' mischievous smirk could only make you guess what he was thinking. You weren't going to make Mr. and Mr. Suarez regret letting you come, and you especially weren't going to disappoint Derek. You were going to watch those boys. Tell them to be in charge. I'm gonna go play over there. You pointed vaguely to the opposite side of the field where Derek had trotted off to entertain himself. You let him go without argument. Jorge wasn't the problem child. See, I wouldn't even let Jorge get that far away from me, because you don't know who's at this park, who's about to snatch at these children. That's all I have to say. I mean, you're a child too, yes, but like you're an older one. You gotta be careful, you gotta look out for the babies. When you saw him settle in, throwing around his football and chasing it, you smiled. You would only need to manage Nicholas. You aimed your grin towards him, but instead of being in the clover patch, he was missing. Of course he was. Of course he was. You snapped your head back and forth until you spotted him in a fumbling dash across the grass, struggling to keep his soccer ball from slipping out of his small arms. When Derek said watch him, he had really, really meant it. Maybe chasing puppies around had prepared you for this after all. Nicholas, stop! You ran over without a word. You ran over and picked him up. Hey, come back here, young man. Pick him up! Even with your longer legs, it was still tricky to catch the kid. He shrieked and laughed when you plucked him off the grass. The soccer ball tumbled from his arms. He reached for it with all his might, stretching his arms and kicking his legs for momentum. You couldn't contain him, so you carefully placed him back on his feet before he could fall. Then you kicked the ball back to him and started to play. Oh, hey, "Oh hey Nicholas, you're hanging out with me just like Derek does." And you were just, you know what? Let's mention Derek, because he loves his big brother. I know he loves his big brother. Nicholas paused. Finally interested, he raised one of his bushy eyebrows. "You said the magic words, like Derek. He spends a lot of time coming to see me, remember? Now it's your turn to be the person I have fun with. Pretty cool." Nicholas's cheeky grin fell, but his eyes began to sparkle. He pumped one of his fists in the air. "Yeah, I'm hanging out with Kingsley!" With him cheering, you sighed in relief. You made a mental note. If you needed Nicholas's attention, just mention Derek. "Let's go back to the Clover Patch. That's a nice place for hanging out." You led him closer to Jorge. Even if the middle Suarez could manage himself, he shouldn't be entirely on his own. The other times your gaze strayed from the little Suarez was when you blinked or sent the occasional glance Jorge's way. Jorge continued to enjoy his time at the park without any need for assistance, so you spent most of your energy on the mischief maker. And after smoothing out the initial bump of the afternoon, things evened out. At least things were fine until the trial known as lunch arrived. It started with the reappearance of Derek. His presence sent Nicholas into hyperdrive. He bounced on the tips of his toes and waved his hands frantically. "Derek's back!" He tackled his older brother and lashed around Derek's left leg. Jorge, like half of the entire park, noticed the shout. He jogged over to see if any important updates were happening without him. Derek winked. "Hey, bros." "Hi, Kingsley. I hope you're doing alright." As he spoke, he let his bag drop to the ground. He crouched over it and scrounged up the packed lunches. "It's all good. Oh, yeah, it's just great. I don't know how you do this all the time." That's a response right there. Running after Nicholas had been crazy. How did the kid have that much energy? Oh, that's just pure adrenaline from being a baby. Derek amazed you for being able to manage his little brother on the regular. "Well, I tried my best." Derek set aside 3 paper bags in the grass, one in front of Nicholas, another next to Jorge, and the third went to you. Derek kept the 4th lunch inside his backpack. He only pulled a water bottle out from it and closed the bag back up. Okay, Nicholas, you gotta eat now with Kingsley and Jorge." Nicholas clenched Derek's jeans more desperately as he whined. "You're not gonna eat with me?" Derek scratched the back of his head and gave a longing glance back to where he'd been practicing. "Do you mind, Kingsley? I was hoping I'd have more time to practice." He shrugged apologetically, knowing that he was asking a lot. He really should eat lunch too. You should really eat lunch too. It'll be fine, I promise. Nicholas's whimpering never stopped being high-pitched background noise. Derek ruffled his hair. "Hey, check this out." He picked up Nicholas's soccer ball and placed it on the top of his own head. Nicholas's jaw dropped theatrically as Derek fully stood up while keeping it balanced. I do that all the time. I love putting stuff on my head and balancing it. And Gil was like, "Why?" I'm like, maybe the ancestors have possessed me. Maybe that's it. Sometimes it's just fun putting shit on your head and being able to balance it. I used to do that because my mom used to make me walk around with like a book on my head to try to do like walking perfect balance and shit like that. I always hated it. I don't like being forced to put things on my head. I want to put things on my head if I want to put them on my head, okay? Wow. Nicholas cheered and jumped up and down, still holding onto Derek's leg. Derek bent his knees and then popped up fast enough to launch the ball in the air. He caught it on his head again. I can't do that. That's not something I can do. Ha! Nicholas let go of his brother to clap. Derek grinned at Nicholas, but his gaze flicked to you for a second. The show over, Derek inclined his head and let the soccer ball drop into his hands. He held it out to Nicholas. "Make sure to eat a good lunch, okay? Then you can get back to practicing." Nicholas spoke into the soccer ball he had cuddled to his face. "Babes, that shit's dirty. Don't do that." Even starstruck enough that he couldn't disagree with anything his biggest brother said. "You're gonna need a bath later. You're probably gonna get a bath later either way." I feel like he gets baths daily because he looks like he's stinky. Not because like his family don't clean him or anything, but he just looks like he just gets into stuff. So he has to be bathed every day. Derek waved at you and Jorge before heading off to where he'd left his soccer ball, carrying only the water bottle with him. Jorge promptly took a seat in the grass by the lunch bags. Nicholas put the soccer ball on his head. It immediately rolled off. He just tried again. You reached over to the lunches. Each bag had a clearly written name in black marker ink. Jorge collected his bag. You had yours, and you attempted to give the last one to its proper owner. But Nicholas showed zero interest in the bag. You imagined he would have been more interested in Derek's lunch bag, even though they probably had the same meals. Jorge scoffed. Knowing his brother was going to be difficult again, he took a sandwich from his bag. From looks alone, you guessed it was as sliced deli turkey, a pale-colored cheese, and some veggies. Now, I do feel sorry for Jorge. He's got that middle child syndrome happening. He's perfect child. With Nicholas clearly busy, you took his sandwich out for him. The sandwich was ham and some sort of orangey cheese, cheddar almost certainly. You offered the food directly to Nicholas, and he still didn't bite. He wanted to play. How about I help you eat while you practice? Nicholas, if you want to play, then you have to eat. If you eat, I'll hold the ball in your head for you. Deal? Panicked, you sent an SOS glance to Jorge. How about I help you eat while you practice? Nicholas carefully contemplated your suggestion. You held your breath, anticipating an oncoming battle, but then his seriousness melted into a bright grin. Alright. He securely held the ball with both hands on top of his head, and then in one fell swoop, Nicholas leaned over to tear a chunk of sandwich right out of your hand. Not him being a little animal. You know what? He looks like Animal from, was it the Muppets? He gives animal energy. Glancing over Jorge, you saw that he was quietly enjoying his lunch. You relaxed now that the situation was back under control. I wish I had a sandwich. I wish I had a sandwich. You lifted the sandwich up for Nicholas to strike again. He gladly took another big chunk out of it, and you realized far too late that his focus on the ball was waning. It tumbled away as he swallowed and leaned in for another bite. Unfazed, Nicholas continued eating, and so, with your free hand, you took a bite of your own sandwich before the opportunity vanished. It was definitely an interesting way to enjoy a meal break. Finishing the last corner of your square-shaped meal, you wondered if Mrs. Suarez had talked to one of your moms beforehand about lunch. The sandwich was made how you would have made it at home. She was either prepared or very lucky, but considering what her oldest son was like, you were guessing luck had nothing to do with it. Along with the sandwiches, there was also a bag of carrots, celery, and a few cookies. Between the three of you, it wasn't long before all the snacks were gone. With nothing left to nibble on, Nicholas yawned and curled up on the grass, cuddling the soccer ball against his chest. Jorge stood up, watching his little brother fall asleep. Once he was certain that Nicholas was down for the count, he started cleaning up the trash. You admired the maturity he showed for his age. It wasn't just Derek who had that streak after all. You helped gather the trash while musing about the Suarez brothers. Derek was the oldest, and who his parents relied on, while Nicholas was the baby of the family. And for a little kid, he was a force to be reckoned with. Jorge was the one stuck in the middle. Seriously, thank you for helping me with this. Thanks for being such a good kid to babysit. Hey, I saw your football throws earlier. They're really good. I like giving you a chance to spend time together. You gave him an encouraging smile. I saw your football throws earlier, and they were really good. Jorge spun around on his heel. He seemed stunned, like he wasn't sure if he imagined your compliment or not. I get it. I get it, bro. I understand. In a couple years, you could totally get a kid on a junior football team. You nodded, and a blush grew on his face until it reached his ears.
Okay.
It's so cute. Little babies. Oh, my heart. He hurriedly went back to what he was doing before. Jorge was embarrassed, but you noticed there was a bounce in his step that wasn't there before. Oh, his slow smile. He's so cute. I just want to pinch his cheeks. The park suddenly felt empty with Nicholas asleep. He took a lot of space despite his tiny body. Chuckling to yourself, you found a comfortable spot in the grass and scanned the area for Derek. You eventually caught sight of him running in the distance. Even from here, you could tell Derek was persistent about his practice. He went back and forth, repeating the same set of moves, reassessing and refining his form every time. Though it wasn't long before he paused to wipe his brow with his black wristband. Derek happened to glance your way at that moment and realized that he had an audience of one. He gave a huge wave with both hands that required he crossed both his arms over his head. And before you knew it, Derek's strides were bringing him back over to you and his brothers. Phew, that's it. I'm gonna be done with practice. I'm back. Welcome back. So you're ready to go pro now? I'm not that good. Yet. Derek shook his head incredulously. Oh, this is so cute. Everybody's blushing. The confidence in your voice had his cheeks flushing just as much as the exercise. Thanks for watching Jorge and Nicholas. I didn't mean for it to be so long. Hey, I finally got to be the big sibling. I think I feel like old, tired parent now. It's okay, I'm happy I can help you out. You owe me one, you know, promptly. We like helping you out, Derek. The sincerity in your voice had Derek bashfully keeping his eyes on his shoes instead. Your heart rate picked up as he chose to respond in kind. I'll probably end up saying it again, but thanks, Kingsley. You're a lifesaver. Next, he shifted his attention over to his brothers. Jorge gave a little wave, and he'd been waiting patiently for his big brother to wrap up his conversation with you. We're going back. Jorge simply got up, not needing any more guidance, while Derek kneeled in the grass to nudge Nicholas out of dreamland. A single eye cracked open at first, and then they both popped wide open when he realized who was with him. Nicholas sprang off the ground, wrapping his arms around his big brother like a vice grip and nuzzled into his chest. Derek gave Nicholas's head a single pat.
Let's go.
Practice was good today. Let's go home.
Let's go home.
Yeah, let's go home. It's so cute. Nicholas's hushed voice echoing his brother's, but a warm smile on your face. Surveying the area, you made sure that nothing would be accidentally left behind. Then you breathed a sigh of relief. You made it through your first time solo babysitting. Although Derek was technically still nearby the whole time, so it wasn't completely solo. But you weren't bothered by that. Derek trusted you with his siblings, and they were both still in one piece. With your leadership, no one got injured, lost, swallowed something they shouldn't have, or even declared that they hated you for eternity. So in your book, you'd say it went fairly well. The 15-minute walk back from the park passed by pleasantly. The late afternoon sun finally behind you and your shadow soon stretched across the sidewalk. You wiggle your fingers and then exaggerated your hands movement in order to watch the shadow change. Meanwhile, next to you, Derek was finally eating his lunch. Although he had to eat his sandwich with the hand Nicholas wasn't clasped tightly onto. Jorge entertained himself with the football he still carried. He periodically tossed it up into the air and caught it again. You could easily imagine how often the three of them had made this trip before, with only the three of them, but you didn't feel out of place strolling alongside the group. It felt natural. Beaming, you found your gaze settling on Derek again. You knew without a doubt that the way you felt was because of him. He was so good at making you feel welcome. In time, you made it safely back to Derek's and dropped his bag. No. In time, you made it safely back, and Derek dropped his bag on the floor with a quiet sigh of relief. Any hope he had to take things easy for a second immediately evaporated.
I'm going to the pool as soon as we come back.
Nicholas's joy was palpable, ferreting back Derek's promise from earlier in the day. As the words dawned on him, Derek closed his eyes and breathed deeply. Yep, we are. Get ready. And that was all the approval Nicholas and Jorge needed. They both dashed off to their shared bedroom to get changed. Well, first of all, they should be showering first. Tell them to shower so they don't get their dirt in the pool. Derek sluggishly opened his eyes. His tiredness softened when he looked at you.
It's okay.
Practice is done. If you want to stay up here until your moms come get you, that's cool. Derek gave a partial shrug and then ran a hand through his hair shyly. We don't have to go swimming again. But I want to hang out with you. I've been having fun. I'm not mad about being here. But you promised we'd go to the pool again. I'm not gonna let you be outnumbered by Jorge and Nicholas. I don't want to be in here by myself. You shake your head, a terrible idea of saying mine. I'm having fun. You didn't want him to have any doubts about you hanging out with him. Good. That's great. You relaxed, matching your easygoing demeanor. Uh-oh. I didn't like how the shorts just appeared on him here. I think he should definitely have had different shorts. That's all I have to say. It wasn't much longer before the younger kids come running out to rejoin you and Derek. They both wore their neon-colored swimsuits and had towels wrapped around their shoulders.
Awesome.
Hopefully he doesn't lose his hair tie thingies. What are they called? They're not hair ties. Butterfly clips? At least that's what I call them. Nice job. You even remembered your floaty vest, Nicholas. Derek Sorry, my brain stopped working. Derek kneeled down to make sure the safety vest was properly secured. Nicholas stood tall with his chest out proudly. He didn't fear the scrutinization. I did the straps for him. Perfect. Thanks. Jorge brightened just as his younger brother had. Standing back up, Derek shifted his attention to you. Same quick change strategy from earlier? Yeah. You head off to get changed first. Derek nodded seriously when you returned to take over for him. He re-emerged a couple minutes later and diligently went over to the counter to write something down. Curious, you inched closer. Just gotta leave a note so Dad knows where we are. Then we can go. Oh, sounds good. Everything was squared away as Derek was always sure to do. Excuse me. And the four of you marched right back out of the apartment for another excursion. By the time the distinct smell of chlorine tickled your nose, the sun had fallen low in the sky. You circled around some nearby lounge chairs and deemed them capable of keeping your things safe. Inspecting the gleaming water, you noticed that Jorge and Nicholas hadn't moved towards the pool yet. Both of the little boys were watching Derek like hawks. You picked up enough this afternoon to know it was because Jorge didn't want to do anything without permission and Nicholas didn't want to do anything Derek wasn't doing.
I'm on it.
Here I go. And Derek himself knew it too. He didn't keep them waiting. Derek offered his brothers an encouraging wave and strode over to the pool. You followed him into the water. You ran to beat him. You remained nice and dry on solid land. But we'll follow him to the water. Wait for me. Derek paused at the pool's edge and glanced over his shoulder. He beamed at you. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. You simultaneously leapt into the pool, making a huge splash. After a few seconds, you made your way to the surface to take a breath. Derek, meanwhile, stayed under. The other Suarez sons followed. Jorge jumped in without any hesitation. Nicholas sped right to the edge and only came to an abrupt stop. His toes curled around the edge of the pool and his lips were pressed into a tight frown. Nicholas tipped his head and stared down at the water, clutching his hands together. He was scared to jump. Nicholas would rather the pool come the rest of the way to him, but it wasn't being a good sport. Derek and Jorge popped out of the water with matching wide grins and droplets clinging to the tips of their hair. Neither were surprised that they were missing their baby brother. Alright! Woohoo! That was awesome! Nicholas's cry for help came out in a tiny impatient squeak. He began wiggling in place. Derek chuckled and swam over to the shallower spot. The 6-year-old followed closely, toddling along the edge. See? I knew he wasn't a baby. Dude's a 6. When his feet touched the pool's solid bottom, Derek stood up. He kindly held his arms out towards his brother.
This is gonna be great.
Come on in, Nico. The water's fine. Trusting him completely, Nicholas let go of his fear. He took a step over the side and walked into his favorite person's arm. Derek embraced Nicholas as he dropped against his chest. Then Derek slowly lowered him closer to the water before he completely let his little brother go. Nicholas bobbed under with a small splash and broke out again in an instant like a buoy. He was bursting at the seams with excitement. Nicholas made the most of his new floating freedom by dog paddling around in the shallow end. Checking on Jorge, you noticed that he was sticking to the center of the pool. He bounced himself from the floor to the surface for air, then pushed back down to do it all over again. He leapt all around in a circle. Derek rested an arm across the pool's edge and took a moment to watch his brothers too. You swam over to Derek and settled against the wall with him. You closed your eyes and sighed. The water's temperature was pleasantly warm against the cooling evening air. Derek kept his main focus on his family, though he spared a moment to tilt his head in your direction. A few beads of water trailed from his hairline across the side of his jaw. His jaw, my gosh. Babysitting isn't that bad, huh? No, it was horrible. Huh? Derek tensed, ready for you to explain, but your serious expression broke into a snort. He let out a breath and scratched the side of his neck. You got me there. I was wondering what I missed. They were alright.
Honestly.
My brothers were fun. Some of the time. He chuckled at his own joke and ran a damp hand down his face to try getting at least some of the water off. The final rays of sun cast a warm glow on his skin and the pool sparkled as he finally turned his attention directly towards you. He felt toastier all of a sudden, like someone had pulled the sun back up to the center of the sky. Derek's mouth turned into his usual wonderful smile. I don't know what I'd do without them. I think they're great. You sound like a proud dad. Well, Jorge is good, but Nicholas is trouble with a capital T. I think Nicholas is way cuter than all the other Suarez's. That's okay. You know what? You shrugged. You sound like a proud dad. He smirked at your teasing, but it quickly lost its force as his cheeks grew pink. Derek hid his face in his hands. I don't even want to think about being a real parent right now. Being the oldest kid is enough for me. Shaking his head, he kept his brothers in his sight. The affection returned to his expression. I am proud of them, though. Jorge and Nicholas remained engrossed with their own watery adventures while you and Derek kept track of them. You were in mid-conversation when the sound of footsteps echoed off the walls surrounding the pool. Derek shot an arm out of the water and waved at the newcomer. Dad!
Good evening.
It's Mr. Suarez! Dad! Dad? All Suarez boys eagerly paddled over to the end of the pool where their father stood. They moved together in the water with their heads beside each other and their legs kicked out behind them like a pile of seal puppies.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Jorge? Thank you, Jorge. Couldn't finish that. Mr. Suarez's voice as soon as he observed his children's happy faces. Eventually, he spotted you as well, and he tucked his fingers into the edge of his vest with vigor. Oh, this is a pool party today, You know, a party should have the proper food. Let's order pizza for dinner tonight. Ooh, pizza. Yeah! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Laughing with excitement, Nicholas started smacking the palms of his hands against the water's surface, making several bursting splashes. Jorge flicked the droplets from the tips of his hair at Nicholas in retaliation. Chuckling over the scene, Mr. Suarez brought a hand up and held onto his chin. He scratched at his beard with a thumb. Cheese, half pepperoni for the first, correct? Yeah. Pepperoni! Nicholas threw both his arms in the air as he cheered. Mr. Suarez nodded, pleased his little ones still had predictable tastes. Okay, and meat and veggie supreme for Irene and I on the second. He settled his gaze on Derek and you for the final decision. Suggestions for what the final half should be? Kingsley? You pick. You floated over closer to Derek as you thought about it. More cheese, more supreme, more veggies, all meat, barbecue, chicken, and wine. I get something other than pizza. It doesn't matter. Me, pick. Derek, what do you normally get? Derek, what do you normally get? Let me ask. Usually the barbecue chicken, but you should get whatever you want. I like the other stuff too, so don't worry. In that case, I mean, I'm not opposed. Out of all of these options, I would probably get barbecue chicken. Derek gave you a big thumbs up for that.
So,
Still in full, half cheese and half pepperoni, half supreme and half barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, children. I'll put the order in now. I'll come back to let you know when it's ready. But until then, continue to play. Thanks, Dad. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dad. Bye. I'll be waiting. Mr. Suarez closed the pool gate behind him, leading you kids to your fun. Mr. Suarez's absence, Derek took charge again. Alright, you heard it. Dad's ordering pizza, so it'll be here in like 30 minutes. So think fast. What's the last thing you want to do before we have to leave the pool? Nicholas furrowed his brow. Thinking as hard as he could, he scrunched his face together in frustration when nothing came to mind. Meanwhile, Jorge put a hand on his chin, tilted his head to the side. He stared up and off into space as he considered the question. You left it open to the younger kids to decide. While they were distracted, you made your first strike in a splash fight. Sure. The younger Suarez brothers may have been unsure or overwhelmed with how they wanted to spend their remaining pool time. But you weren't. You knew exactly what you wanted to do. You slowly angled your position in the water, carefully deciding your plan of attack. The corner of your mouth bent, and you flung a mighty splash towards Derek. He ended up with a face full of water, and he sputtered before shaking it off with laughter. As he regained his composure, Derek brushed a hand down his face against wiped some droplets away. Kingsley, I'm sure you're aware of what this means. Derek's stare narrowed with a fierce, amused look of determination. You matched it, and he gave an added, slow nod. I believe I do.
This on.
This means war. He swiftly sent a shot of water in your direction. Nicholas cackled at your exchange, and he started to excitedly beat the water surface and sent droplets crashing in all directions. You twisted away from their attacks, and the second the water settled, you struck. Pushing your hands forward, you sent another big wave crashing towards the brothers. That's exactly what me and Gil do. We like fight with water. We fight all the time. But like in the pool, I'm not the best swimmer. He's a pretty good swimmer. I'm a floater. I can float. He can't float though. So one of us is gonna drown one of these days from our water fights. We haven't been in the pool together in I don't know, like 3 years. But his dad has a pool, and I'm getting a new swimsuit. So once my swimsuit gets here, I guess we can go be in his dad's pool. It's not even like a good pool. It's an above ground pool. I'm not saying the above ground pools aren't good. I'm just saying his dad like makeshifted a heating device to make the pool heated, and it's It's interesting. I haven't seen it, but I bet it's interesting because the way Gil describes it, it's so funny. You twisted away from their attacks, and the second water settled, you struck. Pushing your hands forward, you sent another big wave crashing towards the brothers. Derek sent splashes with both hands on each of his sides, juggling you and Nicholas. Nicholas pulled water, coming in his hands, and threw it into the air. The droplets carelessly pour it down on everyone. Nicholas was dangerous in this fight. He was willing to take a hit to get a hit. Out of the four of you, Jorge enacted the best defense strategy. He took a deep breath and held it while he slid under the water. Only his hands remained at the surface, and they rapidly splashed in all directions. Jorge's strategy kept you all on your toes in order to avoid his scatter shot. Whenever he came up for air, Derek made sure to be ready to take the shot. It was a grand battle. The four of you thoroughly enjoyed your time at the pool. It flew by so fast that you were surprised when you spotted Mr. Suarez cruising down to the water's edge once more. Dinner's here, and even better, Mom's home. Yay! The young Suarez threw his wet confetti in the air one more time. Even his dad wasn't safe from it. Mr. Suarez took it in stride and wiped his glasses against his vest. Derek was out of breath, but he beamed. Let's go get some food. Yeah. Mr. Suarez led the way to the apartment, and the four of you kids marched with an eager spring in your steps. Despite being wrapped in towels, you dripped water the whole way there. The savory smell of hot cheese and garlic crust was there to greet you when you arrived. When you arrived at the door, you could hear the musical words of Mrs. Suarez, too. Welcome home. Hi. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Feeling a bit awkward and out of place, you gave a tiny wave. Mrs. Suarez didn't miss it, and her voice softened as she spoke to you first. Hello, Kingsley. I hope you had fun today. I did. You had lots of fun.
That's great.
Very good. Miss Suarez then went over to the kitchen where the food was set on the counter. She popped the boxes open and delightedly glanced over at her husband. This was such a good idea. Thank you. Mr. Suarez dipped his head into a tiny bow. He followed that by gesturing a hand towards the food. Come get dinner, youngest to oldest order. Despite the order given, it was no surprise that Jorge was the one who moved first. He figured Nicholas would wait for Derek even if he didn't have to. Jorge tore off a paper towel from the roll and used it to grab a slice of plain cheese pizza. He hot-footed it back over to the entryway, standing there so he wouldn't bring any water any further into the apartment. You can go next, Kingsley. It'll be easier that way. The food smelled even better up close. You grabbed a slice of cheese. You know what? We're gonna grab some barbecue chicken. You hurried back to the entryway with your dinner. Derek went next, tiptoeing over with Nicholas on his heels. He grabbed a slice of pepperoni and passed it to Nicholas. Derek then grabbed a slice of barbecue chicken for himself, but instead of going to the entryway, he went to the open space on the floor. You curiously watched as Derek laid his towel on the floor and then sat down on it, crossing his legs. Nicholas plopped down on the towel right next to him and started on one of his pizza crust corners. You decided to stand with Jorge. You decided to sit on your own towel. Let's stand with Jorge. Rights for Jorge. That's best buddy right there. You didn't mind eating on your feet, but you also didn't give yourself much time to think about it. Taking a big mouthful, you focused on filling your belly instead. Finally, Mr. and Mrs. Suarez got their slices of pizza. They stood in the living room in between the spots their sons had taken. How did you spend your day while we were out? We did a lot of things. In between taking big bites of pizza, the Suarez family started taking turns telling stories about their day. Nicholas recounted the events of the day with the most enthusiasm, even though there were the same plot points from his brother's stories and the ones you witnessed firsthand. From his perspective, the events were almost mythically amazing. Storytelling was hungry work, so the slices didn't last long at all. The food was chipped away piece by piece until everyone was stuffed. I want pizza now. Nicholas laid down on the floor, limbs stretched out and still wrapped in his towel. He was completely tired from the day. Mr. Suarez plucked him off the floor and held him under one arm. Bath time. Come on, Junior.
Yes, Dad.
Nicholas accepted his fate, and his arms hung limply down. Jorge crumpled up his paper towel into a ball and tossed it into the trash. He followed his dad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giorgio? Gregorio? Gregorio? How do you say this name? How do you say this name? Gregorio. Pronunciation. Gregorio, okay. Okay. Mrs. Rose watched them go with gentle affection in her gaze. She patted her husband's shoulder as he passed by and then strolled over to you and Derek. And thank you for a good day's work. I appreciate you both taking care of Nicholas and Jorge today. Her cheeriness reminded you so much of Derek. She pointed with her thumb over her shoulder. Dad and I will take them from here. Thanks, Mom. You could see the wave of relief wash over him as clearly as the actual water you had just swam in. I'll keep an ear out for the phone. Pamela said she'd call when they're on their way over to get you, Kingsley. Okay. After that, Miss Suarez excused herself to go help get Jorge and Nicholas ready for bedtime. When she disappeared down the hall, Derek leaned back on the palms of his hands. He lazily rolled his head in your direction.
Hey.
We can get dressed again. Then we can get dressed again. Then would you want to hang out in my room until your moms get here? Sounds like a plan to me. You can get changed first. He stretched his legs out on the floor where you stood up. You could feel a slight ache in your muscles from today's activities. It wasn't bad. You'd given your all during your babysitting adventure. Gathering your things up in your arms, you left to get changed. It wasn't long before you and Derek went over to his room for some sibling-less free time. Oh, look at this room. Is that a volleyball? He sure has a lot of balls. Does he need this many balls? Because what? If he didn't put his balls back from earlier, that's 3 balls, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 balls. 2 of them not soccer or American footballs. And then he just has this football statue. Who did this room? I have questions. Why did you give him so many soccer balls and footballs? Derek opened his bedroom door and gestured for you to lead the way. You went in while he followed close behind, shutting the door once more. Your eyes widened as you scanned the small space. Usually you were outside when you hung out with Derek, so this was the first time that you'd been inside his room. Within reach of his neatly made bed and a bookshelf full with novels, various scattered soccer balls and footballs stuck out around the books and furniture. Things were arranged and organized with the same care Derek put into most things he did. If there was more time, you were sure there were tons more trinkets and treasures to spot here, like a game of I Spy. It wasn't big, but Derek made the most of his small piece of the world. Your room is cool. There are a lot of football. That's exactly how I feel. I'm sure you have enough soccer balls and football. There are a lot of footballs and soccer balls in here. You glanced at him curiously. Derek chewed on the inside of his cheek and gave you an over-exaggerated shrug. I like to be prepared. You saw how things went down at the park today. He put his hands on his hips and shot you a cheeky grin. You chuckled in anticipation of what he had to say next. And besides, I heard that you should have at least 2 backups of stuff that's important in your life. Okay, that doesn't explain why you have more than 2. Trying your hardest to suppress a laugh, your lips twitched. You held up 2 fingers for emphasis. 2, huh? What if it's one of a kind? I feel like I should be taking notes. Derek let out a big sigh and shook his head. He rubbed an eye with the palm of his hand. Honestly, it's just an easy gift my relatives go for when they don't know what else I might want. At least I'll never run out of stuff to practice with. But anyway, sorry, I don't have any chairs in here. You can sit on my bed if you want. Don't worry, there's tons of space to sit in the living room, so this balances things out. Derek chuckled at that. Still, he felt a bit awkward and rubbed the back of his neck. Thanks for offering your bed, though. You stayed standing on the edge of the mattress. You laid across his bed. I'm not gonna lay across this man's bed. After the busy day you had, it was without a doubt nice to relax on something soft. Derek's expressions brightened since you took him up on his offer. Derek crossed over to the foot of the bed and sat there on the end of it. His jaws stretched open in a huge yawn that he quickly covered with his hand.
Good job, team.
Phew, we're finally done. There was no missing the proud satisfaction burning in his green eyes, but you could also consequently see places where he was wilting. Aw. Sometimes you kind of wondered about how he threw himself wholeheartedly into things all the time. That's a great question. How? Let me see. What are the options? How often do you babysit?
Well,
He shifted his gaze away from you. Derek pinched at the blanket under his fingers while he thought about your question. Pretty often, I guess. Not all the time. Oh. Derek stretched his arms high in the air and yawned again. His eyelids drooped as he turned towards you. Gradually, the carefree warmth faded from his demeanor. His face fell into a quiet brown, but his hands had returned to his lap. You don't have to do it again, Kingsley. Whether it's a good time or a bad time, it's just a lot of time, and you have your own things to deal with. Your brows bent at that. Tilting your head, you couldn't help but think about how much of Derek's days went to his brothers. It definitely didn't seem to match how things were with your sister and you. But then, as if summoned by your thoughts about him, the bedroom door creaked open just enough to let a giggling Nicholas slip in. He threw his hands in the air. I'm dressed! With a loud thud, the door swung fully open, and Jorge marched in with an extremely annoyed scowl. He put his hands on his hips. Nicholas, we're playing in the living room, not Derek's room. Jorge reached for his younger brother, but Nicholas scurried up onto the bed. He warily peeked at Jorge from behind Derek's shoulder. Derek notably didn't say a single word, nor did he appear surprised about the intrusion at all. And the only moment he made was a light pat on the mess of hair on Nicholas's head, like usual. They not wash his hair? I know hair do not dry that quickly. I know it doesn't. They need to wash him again. What wasn't unusual was the distant look on his face. He accepted the reality at hand, but did not welcome it. Mr. and Mrs. Suarez crowded into the room next.
Excuse us.
Sorry, Derek. He slipped away in a flash.
yeah. No more.
Come on, Nicholas. Let Derek and Kingsley have some peace. The youngest Suarez stubbornly clung into Derek's arms. His cheeks puffed out angrily. Nicholas, go hang with Mom and Dad. Don't you want to see them too? They missed you today. Don't you want to see Mom and Dad too? Come on, Derek. Nicholas loosened his grip as he shifted to get a better look at his big brother. Derek sighed spiritlessly. I do, but I have a friend over right now. I'll spend time with Mom and Dad and you later. Nicholas bent forward and grasped Derek's pant leg. He brought out the big guns and stared at him with his most pitiful eyes and a matching pout. You know, Derek does what he's supposed to. You can be like that now, Nicholas. I'm not gonna say that. Don't be sad. It's been a happy day. Well, I'm not surprised it's happened. You think that for an awkward situation? Don't be sad. It's a happy day. Nicholas immediately whipped his attention in your direction, his head in your direction. He clearly had forgotten that you were even still there. Right? Feeling more awkward by the second, you paused while the youngest Suarez did nothing but stare. Eventually, you shrugged. I had fun. I thought we all did. We're all still here together, so there's no need to be sad when we're nearby in other rooms. Tears started welling up, and he turned back to his big brother. Nicholas's jaw clenched. He tightened his grip on his brother's leg.
End of discussion.
Nicholas, we're reading a story right now. Nicholas angrily shook his head as he advanced across the room. She unapologetically peeled her smallest child off Derek. The young boy let out a high-pitched whine for the entire extraction. Jorge frowned sympathetically over the confrontation while Derek winced at the noise. When the deed was done, the middle son followed his mom out of the room. You could still hear Nicholas's piercing cries as he was carried away. What a way to end the night, huh? I'm very sorry about the interruption. Kidding as you were, none of us were ever here. He gave the both of you an encouraging smile before carefully shutting the door again. It was finally silent. Derek kept an eye out until he honestly believed that there wouldn't immediately be another sibling disaster. When he deemed it safe, he let out a quick sigh in an attempt to choke back a harsher groan. Derek flopped back against the mattress with another huff and stretched his arms out at his sides. His arms twitched and his fingers curled into fists. There's never any privacy here. How am I still having to deal with things even after spending almost the whole day with them? You held your tongue, waiting patiently for him to get it all out. Derek muttered grievances under his breath with a harsh glare, aimed at the ceiling for a good minute and screwed his mouth shut. I'm sorry, Derek. I think you're doing a really good job with everything. It's definitely rough. And I thought Elizabeth could be difficult to deal with. At least your brothers don't think they're the boss like Elizabeth. No. I think you're doing a really good job with everything. He didn't respond, but you witnessed the bulk of his anger gradually fade from his brow before he attempted to look in your direction. When he did, you saw sparks of his usual vibrancy. It gradually returned as he held your gaze. You were careful that your presence seemed to help him bring... You were thankful that your presence seemed to help bring him back to feeling like himself again. I mean it. I know you do. Thanks, Kingsley. Evening his breath, Derek folded his arms across his chest and squeezed his eyelids shut. You could tell by the tension in his face that he was still bothered. He was thinking hard, searching for something. I can make this work. His low mumble was followed by a pause that had you intrigued. And then he jumped forward so that he was sitting upright again. The grin you were so used to seeing was back in full force. Kingsley, wanna go back to the pool? Nobody's gonna be there this late and my bros are not gonna be able to leave the house. We don't have to get in or even change clothes. I think it'd just be kind of nice a place to talk, that sort of thing. Avoiding your gaze, Derek nervously rubbed the back of his head. You could tell that he was trying his hardest to be nonchalant, but that wasn't exactly succeeding. I like the way you think. Alright. This is a long-ass DLC episode. Derek leapt up to his feet and turned, holding a hand out for you to take. Chuckling, you gripped his hand tightly. Chuckling, you got up on your own. Touch him. Grip his hand. Derek squeezed you back and helped pull you to your feet. Let's go. Door slowly creaked open. Where the fuck are my parents? I've been here all day. The door slowly creaked open as Derek peeked out. Double checking that the coast actually was clear, he gave you a thumbs up. I haven't seen Nicholas. I think we're good. He returned his thumbs up, suddenly hoping that this wasn't the calm before the storm. Derek led you into the living room where you found his dad and Jorge sitting together on the couch. Hello, Mom has Nicholas in the room. Enraptured in another exciting session of story time. Good. Kingsley and I are going to go to the pool area to hang out. Is that okay?
Of course.
My dad and my mom, we're 13. This would not be okay with them. They really wouldn't. He chuckled, knowing exactly what Derek was trying to accomplish. Jorge was perfectly happy where he was with his dad, so he waved goodbye to you both. Don't keep Kingsley out too late. Am I spending the night or something? Like, where the fuck are my moms? I won't. Thanks, Dad. Derek whispered with complete confidence. You gave your appreciation in an equally hushed tone. Thank you, Mr. Suarez. The last thing either of you wanted was to alert the youngest Suarez that anything fun was happening without his knowledge, so you both suddenly slipped out of the apartment. Once you were free from the condo's walls, Derek's excitement was palpable. He picked up the pace and raced to the pool gate. For the third time in a single day, you and Derek stepped foot on the condo complex's private pool deck, but you soon realized you hadn't seen everything and had to offer yet. Under the cover of night, the pool was completely aglow, with lights set into the bottom. The bright blue struck you as inviting breaths of steam drifted off the top of the water, whispering how warm it was. The enclosed space was clear of any other people, and it had been like that for a while considering the stillness of the pool. Not a single ripple disturbed its aquamarine surface. Here, you'd have peace and privacy. Derek was drawn to the water like a moth to a flame. He wordlessly rolled up his jeans and tugged off his sneakers and socks, then dunked his feet right into the pool up to the middle of his calf. He stretched and wiggled his bare toes in a comfortable embrace of the heated pool on a summer night. You joined Derek at the edge. You dipped your feet in as well, you sunk your hands in the water, you sat by the side of the pool. Let's just sit by the side of the pool. Derek wrapped both his hands around the smooth tile edge and tilted back. One of his legs kicked up as his back drifted down like his upper and lower body were each one side of a seesaw. I do not think I like this simile. I don't think I like it. He grinned playfully at you.
But
So, what are we gonna talk about? Oh, I don't remember. Well, you were saying you couldn't manage to put you were saying that you liked having my help, but it wasn't my job to watch your brothers, and I didn't have to do it again.
Oh.
Yeah. He suddenly brought his torso back up until he was hunched over the water. He stared down at it. All his lightheartedness had disappeared in an instant. Oh shit, sorry dude, I didn't mean to do it like that. Things were already kind of a bummer before we got interrupted. Sucks. There wasn't any heart in it, but Derek managed to chuckle. Sorry for making my problems your problems. He dug his fingers into the side of his hair, scratching at it in frustration.
This isn't
I
bad.
don't even know what my problem is. They came in the room for 5 seconds. I'm so dramatic. Derek, that's not dramatic, and it wasn't the only thing that happened today. Nicholas is dramatic, you're mild. No, I'm not gonna say that. You don't have a lot of problems. It annoyed me, and I don't even live here. Honestly, yeah, I did. Yeah, I said the first one, by the way. I just didn't feel like reading it again. Derek crossed his arms tightly and pushed them against the top of his legs. The blue water rippled around him as his legs moved against the pool wall. He pressed his heels into it. The pressure that had been only on the inside was coming out. It's just, the thing is, Nicholas and Jorge need me all the time. My parents need me because they need me. What? I don't think that made sense to me. I don't want to let them down. I really don't. But it's hard. Every day it's like I'm gonna mess up and disappoint somebody. Oh, I'm so sorry. He bit his tongue and released his limbs from the locked positions they'd been stuck in. He couldn't scrub the furrow away from his brows. Forget it. Everyone has stuff to worry about. It's not just me. Mama has to take care of them way more than I do. But it's not your responsibility to take care of them like that. You are not a parent, Derek. It's literally your mom and dad's job to take care of them. If they couldn't, they shouldn't have had them. That's how I feel. That's how I think. And dad works a job pretty much the entire day. I admire you. You don't have to brush yourself off. Your family's lucky to have you. So what if they do things too? You still deserve to be happy. You still deserve to be happy. I don't know. He went silent, unmoved. Nicholas was the one who caused trouble, but somehow Derek had made himself the bad guy. It was upsetting, but Derek wasn't anywhere close to really being grown up. Of course he couldn't be perfect, even though he acted like he thought he should be. Derek, remember when your dad first came to the pool and you and Jorge and Nicholas were all so excited? You were just like your brothers. Even if you're in charge, sometimes you're still your parents' kid. You don't have to act like an adult, especially not with me. Finally, slowly and carefully, Derek dared to glance at you again. Thanks, Kingsley, for saying all that. His shoulders squished inward to frame his lowered head. He looked so much like a hopeful puppy that he could give even Nicholas a run for his money in the adorable face department.
Was it
It
annoying?
really doesn't bother you that I complain, and sometimes hanging out with me means helping out with 2 other kids. For all the confidence Derek displayed, when push comes to shove, he was pretty insecure about himself and what you thought of him. Not at all, complain away, as long as you don't mind dealing with Elizabeth when you visit me. Sorry, Derek, I love hanging out with you no matter what. I'll babysit as many times as you need. Not at all, complain away. One thing about me, I love to complain. If you like complaining too, then let's complain together. Derek showed his full face to you. It was all lit up by the light shining through the water. The smile on his face was just as glittering. Well, I don't ever want to be in pain, but it's really cool. I don't ever want to be a pain, but it's really cool to have a friend who doesn't mind listening to me and being there. Oh, he's so cute. He didn't say that lightly. He only wanted to let himself be there for you and everyone else. Being somebody Derek could count on was special. His cheeks flushed just admitting it. But with the way your heart fluttered, you were sure your face was a match. Oh, why did his face get devious? Then his eyebrows furrowed mischievously. And just like that, he capitulated right off the tile edge into the pool. Bro, with your clothes on? You gasped as if you were the one who suddenly got plunged in underwater. Derek burst to the surface with a loud, gasping laugh. Bro, chlorine's not gonna kill everything in this pool. Let's be so fucking serious right now. The water is great. How wonderful. You're way too impulsive. Are you okay? You broke into laughter. You shake your head, Derek. I'm shaking my head.
This is gonna be
Everything's gonna be good, Kingsley. I'm not an adult. That was true. You push yourself right. I'm not joining you. I'm gonna watch him. You rested back on the palm of your hands, gazing out at Derek's face. Jax, I'm almost done, okay? Give me like 6 more minutes, I think. He flipped over and did backstrokes and circles. He huffed from lifting the weight of his soaked jeans with each kick. Does he wear jeans? I thought he wore shorts. It only made Derek more amused. It was definitely an unusual sight. Laughter and sloshing water brought the once stagnant pool to life. You and Derek still had the place to yourself and made the absolute most of it. But eventually, Derek crawled up the stairs out of the pool. His baggy clothes poured out mini waterfalls with every step he took on land. Derek looked especially tiny with his drenched jersey draped over his frame. You got to your feet and walked over to Derek, not wanting to have to make the trip alone in that state. Not wanting him to have to make that trip alone in that state. He gave you a thumbs up. Then he carefully tipped his head to the side, tapped his head against his ears to get the water out.
Well,
Alright. I'm gonna face the music. Having to go home dampened Derek's mood far more than the water on his body. He could do anything here, in the wide open pool with you as his only companion. Going back to his family came with countless expectations and responsibilities, but it still had to be done. Yeah. You gave a small nod, readying yourself for whatever might happen when you arrived at the Suarez condo. Without another word, Derek collected his shoes and you left the little oasis behind. Two of you walked side by side. You held each other's hands. Hold my hand. Their slippery fingers gripped you as tightly as they could. When you made it to the front door, Derek used a key from his pocket to open it. He had forgotten to bring it, despite leaving under rushed and uneasy circumstances. Derek stood there in front of the unlocked door, just staring at it. Practical preparation was his forte. Making himself ready for bumps in relationship was not. Making himself ready for bumps in relationships was not. Oh, okay, I get it now. You didn't do anything wrong, Derek. You got nothing to feel bad about. They do. Remember that. Yeah. He took in a huge breath through his nose and turned the knob. The living room was quiet when you went inside. Jorge and Mr. Suarez had moved over to the kitchen and were busy putting together a puzzle. Mr. Suarez's shoulders blocked your view, so you couldn't see what the picture was supposed to be. Mrs. Suarez and Nicholas were nowhere in sight. You guessed they were still in the younger boy's bedroom. It was strange not to have someone cheer and shout when Derek walked through the door. There was a feeling of absence. We're back. He announced himself with an absolute lack of enthusiasm. He might as well have been calling off bingo numbers to an empty room. Mr. Suarez lifted his head and turned to face the both of them. They have some weird metaphors and similes in this game. At the same time, he eagerly pushed his chair away from the counter.
I see.
Thank you for coming home. The greeting he gave was so normal that it was weird, considering how Derek brought a bucket full of water absorbed into his clothes. Jorge offered a typical family greeting of his own, not taking his eyes off the puzzle. He was either focused or avoiding the awkwardness.
welcome back.
What's up, Jorge? Derek suddenly poked a bare big toe into the prickly entryway doormat. The mess Derek's foot was making was too much for the little mat to contain. Water leaked out from the edges. Damn, he got that much water on him? You didn't wring your clothes out a little bit first? Derek's attempt to face his family was going equally smoothly. The bright pleasantries on Mr. Suarez's face softened to warmth. He followed through the motion he started and got out of his chair. He crossed the living room to stand with the two of you at the front door. My hard-working son is always in demand. Our family needs to learn how to share, especially Nicholas. The last part was said with a little chuckle. Derek didn't smile from the compliment, but he did start to blush.
Excuse me.
Excuse us. A new voice from the hall. Mrs. Suarez stood there with her hands on her hips. Peeking out from behind the skirt of her dress was a distinct spiky nest of brown hair. Oh, he's not asleep yet? Now that you're here, someone has something that he wants to say to his big brother. Her words got Jorge to actually turn away from the puzzle and watch the scene. Hold on, my throat's dry. But Nicholas remained hidden. Her encouragement wasn't enough. As always, he was waiting for Derek. You didn't need to tell Derek that, though. He knew it was far better than you. He knew it far better than you. He shifted his weight on his feet and gave Nicholas an invitation.
Okay.
Okay then, what do you want to say? Nicholas darted out from behind his mom with enough speed to flutter her dress. His tiny feet thundered over the floor until he came to an abrupt stop right in front of his favorite person. He had to lean his head all the way back to look into Derek's eyes. Derek looked down beneath the gaze. Nicholas resisted the urge to hug him and instead clutched at the collar of his own shirt. That's your room. How much Nicholas struggled to explain his apology, it was obvious he wasn't at a point where he understood why being together at all times wasn't a completely fantastic idea. That's how I feel with Gil. All that had gotten through was that he'd upset his brother and that had in turn upset him. Nicholas bit his lip and moved his hands to pull at the bottom of his shirt instead of at the top. The best he could come up with next was simply repeating himself. Derek's lips quirked just a bit as he patiently listened to his little brother. You should say sorry to him too. Kingsley helped you a lot today too. Nicholas instantly twisted his head towards you and echoed the word. He was very serious. Is he angry with me? Sorry, Kingsley. Thank you, Nicholas. No worries. I appreciate that you apologize. He smiled at him. You had to look way out of shyness. I appreciate that you apologize. Nicholas hopped up on his pads at his feet as the nervous but hopeful energy came over him. Your reaction was the first positive sign he'd gotten. Small Suarez glanced between you and Derek unsurely. He let his shirt go and balled his hands into fists. I'm sorry, Derek. I'm sorry, Kingsley. Nicholas put everything he had into willing whatever problem he'd caused to be fixed into people not feeling bad anymore. The emotional display of regret moved someone in the room to speak.
I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry, Jorge? Derek snorted a laugh at the unexpectedness of the interjection. What did you even do? I don't know. The little child looked down at the puzzle in front of him again, but he was staring through the pieces. He was staring through the pieces as if they weren't there. He murmured just barely loud enough to hear from where you were standing. You and Kingsley had to watch me today too. Derek's hesitancy completely crumbled. His usual familial dynamic came back in full force. Aw, Jorge. You don't have to apologize for that. I like to have some time by myself or with my friends, but I'd never want to stop having my little bros. Nicholas's massively wide eyes sparkled. For the first time since they were reunited, he carefully reached out to Derek and gripped his soaking wet jeans. Derek reached down to gently pat his baby brother's head, as he did probably every day. Neither boy cared that this time the hand was damp. He is wearing jeans. I could have swore he had like cargo shorts on this whole time. Instead, they both smiled at the other with unwavering affection. No matter what visions happened, it was inevitable that it would end that way because they both loved their family equally and deeply. Another person took a turn to cut in as Mr. Suarez spoke up with vigor. Derek, Kingsley, let's race! What? Derek chuckled at your confusion and switched his head pat into a full-on hair ruffle. Nicholas giggled excitedly along with his brother. Dad is asking us to play a video game, an old kart racer he likes. Yes, and I will win it! Okay. Derek's dad cheerfully tacked that on. It couldn't be forgotten, clearly. Jorge can be player 4. Mrs. Suarez was the only one who truly kept her distance during the reconciliation between Derek and Nicholas, but now she joined the rest of the family. When she was close enough to you and Derek to whisper, she pressed a hand to the corner of her mouth and winked conspiratorially. I'll give Nico an unplugged controller. No, that's used to happen with me. Derek grinned at that point, and he stepped in to give him the longest strands of Nicholas' hair, a friendly tug. But he didn't accept the invite immediately. He included you in the discussion. What do you think, Kingsley? Are you kidding? I think we should race. He nodded at you and turned to answer his father. Alright, let's race. Derek's mom encouraged you and Derek with her words, and Nicholas with her hands, taking him by the shoulders. This time she wouldn't be letting him get away from her. Ma'am, it is his bedtime. Send him to bed. He should not be up this late. He's 6. Get changed, we'll plug it in so it's ready by the time you get your bag. Thanks, Mom. Where are my parents? Do I not have a curfew? Derek's mood continued to be buoyed by the support of his parents, and he left to go get changed while walking as lightly as he could in his wet clothes. You didn't know where anything was, so you had to leave the prep break to Mr. Suarez and Jorge. The two of them got right into it, opening the drawers and pulling out cords. You found something to do by keeping Nicholas company with Mr. Suarez. He was on his best behavior and didn't whine for Derek even once. As promised, the Suarez's Dark Purple GameCube was fully connected with 4 controllers plugged in by the time Derek strolled into the living room. A familiar shout filled the whole room. All was right in the world. Oh, look at his little pajamas. Yep, Nico, I'm here. Mrs. Suarez was on the carpet with Nicholas in her lap. She'd already passed him a controller and he was having a blast pressing the clicky buttons. Despite the fact they did nothing except make a little noise. Jorge and Mrs. Suarez took seats on the couch. Jorge tucked himself closely against his father so the two were only taking up one side. The other half of the couch was reserved for you and Derek. Derek dove into the spot next to Jorge. He got settled in nicely against the plush back of the couch and floated his legs up across the cushion. You got in the final place and relaxed against the armrest. I told him 4 minutes. I told him 6 minutes and it's past that. I'm so sorry, Jax. This is an interesting GameCube controller. Why do I not remember mine looking like this? Jorge passed one controller to Derek, which Derek gave to you. Then he handed over a second, which Derek kept. Mr. Suarez filled you in on the decision he and his second son had made. Junior and I on a team. You and Kingsley can play together. What do you think? Derek tilted his head your way. He lifted his shoulders and added on to his dad's breathing. It's a double racer. One drives, the other controls items. Oh, it's that game. You smiled understandingly. This is gonna be good. You shrugged acceptingly. Great. It's me and you then. The deal was sealed. Pacts had been made. Jorge perked up and shook Mr. Suarez's arm. Hey Dad, we're Team Suarez. Yes, we are. Derek's fingers were on the buttons. He was leaning over his crossed legs in anticipation for the game to begin. He replied, unbothered. Cool for you guys. With his gaze still glued to the TV, a cheeky grin pulled at his lips. Derek spoke one more thing under his breath, and that was meant for just him, but you were sitting close enough to still catch it. I don't mind being Team Ragel. Oh, it's gonna take my name when we get married. He giggled sweetly. Being squished into a couch so close to him felt even warmer. All 4 players making up the 2 teams chose their characters, carts, positions, and the track set. To start, Derek and Mr. Suarez were driving. You and Jorge had item launching duty. 3, 2, 1. The carts launched across. Do we need this whole thing? Like, do we really? The carts launched across the starting lines with both drivers getting an extra boost. Team Rogel and Team Suarez were off down the colorful jungle road. I wish we could have picked a different name for our team, but okay, go off. There would be 3 laps before the race was over. Lap 1 was a frantic race for the top spot. The carts were neck and neck to each other over every hill and around every curve, neither getting ahead or falling behind. Attacks were constantly exchanged and buttons were pressed at rapid speeds. That included Nicholas as he watched the race and tried to use his controller the way everyone else was. You wonder which part of the game he thought he was impacting. They really did him dirty. By lap 2, Team Rajel had taken a strong lead. Almost nothing from the Suarez camp could reach your cart. Once he passed the line to the start lap 3, Derek was cocky enough to bring out the smack talk. Ooh. Dex! Breaks open the door. Stop for a second as I say hello, y'all. Dex, hi! It's been forever. How are you? I thought you were gonna win, Dad. Mr. Suarez's expression was perfectly content. More than that, it was serene. And it was with that calm face, Derek's father carefully reached across Jorge, and then in the blink of an eye, locked his large hand around the comparatively tiny controller Derek held. Hey! The cart you and Derek shared went out of control, creeping off the dirt path into a pit. Not his dad cheating. You had to wait for the game to fish you out and place you back on the road. Team Suarez rolled right on past. Jax, are you okay? See? I'm winning now. Derek's dad was boldly unapologetic. He grinned like a child who just found out you could get a hole-in-one at putt-putt golf if you just drop the ball in the hole. You're cheating now? Derek sputtered with laughter, made of equal parts amusement and disbelief. He yanked his arms towards his chest to fight for freedom, but Mr. Suarez's grip was unmovable.
Hmm?
We're running interference, huh? From a distance, Mrs. Suarez mused over the situation that had begun to unfold. Her husband stole a look at where she'd been sitting. She was gone, leaving only Nicholas on the floor. Mr. Suarez lifted one thick eyebrow and pressed the other lower. He could only puzzle over what it might mean. You know what would be so funny if she disconnected his controller? Until it all became clear by the world going dark for only him. Derek's mom had crawled over behind the couch, popped up from behind, and slipped her fingers under Mr. Suarez's glasses. He was caught completely off guard. Ah! His father started from shock of surprise attacks that wasn't committed by himself. How have I been? It's been. We've been living, but we've been living. But how are you been? I asked you how you were. How are you? What are you doing? How are you enjoying your life if you're enjoying it right now? I hope you're enjoying it. Yeah, Mom! Derek hadn't gotten his controller back. Mr. Suarez was stubborn in his soul. His dad was just as incapacitated as a driver. Yeah, Mom! An echo of Derek's cheer came from behind. All the excitement in the air had stirred the fire in Nicholas. He wasn't just playing with an off controller anymore. He crawled on all fours at a rapid pace until he reached the couch and launched himself right into his dad's stomach. Oh. It was powerful enough that Mr. Suarez sprung forward, and Mrs. Suarez's hands were yanked off him. Oof! But Derek's controller was finally freed. Mr. Suarez had to let go of both controllers to catch his squirming child. Nicholas would not be contained. He climbed up over his dad's shoulders and wrapped his arms around Mr. Suarez's face. In sweet justice, the Team Suarez cart flew off a bridge into the abyss below. You've been enjoying it a lot? Tell me what's been up. How has school been going? Did you ever finish your, was it an internship or did you go to a trade school? Busy but enjoying it. You went on a date a few days ago. Can't wait to go on another with her. Oh no, it's so cute. I'm so happy. I'm so glad your date went well. Oh my god, I'm so happy for you. Yeah, Nicholas. Tell me about her. What's she like? What's she do? I'm joking. You don't have to tell me anything you do not want me to know. But I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy. Oh my gosh. Jorge placed his own controller in his lap with a shake of his head and a smirk. Team Suarez wasn't winning this race. Derek rolled his shoulders and poked a tongue out of the corner. Also, you hear background noise. Again, that's my dog. Derek rolled his shoulders and poked a tongue out of the corner of his mouth in concentration. He was back in business. The Team Rigel cart course corrected and raced towards the finish line of the final lap. The youngest Suarez hugged all four of his limbs around his dad, even tighter from the thrill of seeing Derek speed his car around the track. Yeah! Items weren't needed now, but you were just as invested in watching your cart make the last stretch. And Derek brought it home, crossing the finish line. We won! Derek threw his fist into the air, pumped them back down to his chest, and turned to you with a palm held out for you to smack. You clasped his hand, you hugged him, gave him a thumbs up. Clasped his hand. Oh, I said clap. I said class. I was like, ooh. The clear sound of your high five was a proper victory note. We won! Nicholas sent his arms up towards the sky, a perfect imitation of his eldest brother. Mr. Suarez used the opportunity to collect his son from off his shoulders and place Nicholas into his lap. He pet his son's hair and he laughed breathlessly but full of joy.
Okay.
You took her to a main event and she was definitely nervous, but it was cute and she got comfortable eventually. You didn't let her pay for anything. Such a gentleman. Such a gentleman, Dex. Look at you go. When you say main event, did you where were you? Were you at a concert? Were you doing something else? You mean by main event? Okay, I lost. Next race. This time, Derek repeated the phrase, still raring to go. Can I go home yet? But that was naturally followed by the original copycat. Nicholas clapped gleefully and snuggled up against his seat on his father's chest. Next race! Jorge picked up his abandoned controller once more. His face was quieter, but no less sincere. Yeah, next race. In all the commotion, you completely forgotten you could have switched to the driver role to take over for Derek at any time. Jorge could have too for his dad, but you were glad it went the way it did. Team Rigel got its win with the assistance of Team Pile Drivers, Nicholas and Mrs. Suarez. That's cute. And the game was just getting started. Next race, okay. You couldn't help breaking the pattern. It earned you some fresh laughter from the family.
Wow.
Now that this is a real party, there's still pizza in the fridge. Who wants leftovers? Suggestion of food riled Nicholas up even more. I'm trying to make sure I finish this before Gil gets home because he cannot stand me playing these games. There's a place where you can go bowling, laser tag, mini golf, pool, eat, or play some arcade games. Oh my god, what did you guys do? I can't do laser tag. I've got laser tag trauma. That sounds so cute. Oh my gosh, you went to like Dave and Buster's or round one. I get it. Okay, yeah. So glad you guys had fun. Where are you gonna go for your next date? He clambered over his dad's shoulders for the second time, tugging on his beard and accidentally knocking his glasses off. Mr. Suarez wheezed out a chuckle. Nicholas stared out from over the couch into the kitchen. He wanted that pizza, but couldn't be the first to ask. I do, pizza please. I will have leftovers. You just said it for Nicholas' sake. Pizza please. Pizza please!
Same.
Me too. You don't know yet? She lives in Kentucky? Oh. I don't know how far away that is for you. That's interesting. Is it long distance? And this is your first time meeting. How long have you guys been talking? If you don't mind me asking. Jorge and Mr. Suarez chimed in their own requests. Can I have some, Mom? I like some pizza, my beloved wife who never turns against me. She snickered with a glint in her eyes. Of course, start the game, I'll heat it up. All four of the Suarez men spoke in unison. Thanks, Mom. Thank you, too.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. The players all resumed their positions and took up their tools, slightly sweaty GameCube controllers. Ew. When the second race started, the grin on Derek's face. How fucking long is this game? Derek's face was one of the most radiant you'd seen the whole day. His dad, mom, and brothers too really knew how to make Derek happy. We were talking and in a sense seeing each other since January. Ooh, that's cute. Oh, I love this for you. I hope you guys become a thing and you guys have like basically no troubles. Except for, the regular couple fights, but you'll work through them, I'm hoping. For you. That brought a smile to your face too. From getting a window into Derek's life and from what you knew from your own, tuning in every day with the same person, it took a lot of patience, but there were a lot of perks too. Your time with the Suarez household ended with family, food, and fun. There wasn't much more you could have asked for. Oh yeah? I'm so happy for you guys. Okay, fucking finally, I'm saving. Yes, we're saving. I am going to switch the scenes because it is time for me to get off. Jax needs to go to the bathroom, and I need to get started on making dinner. She made you a bracelet. You gave her a heart you made out of welding. No, that's so cute. Oh my god. I'm in love with your relationship. I'm so happy for you. Oh my god, yay. I love love. I don't know if you guys can tell. I love when people are in love. I love when they experience love. I love love. Okay. But with that, thank you guys so much for joining me for stream. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for lurking. Thank you for showing up in any way you can. I appreciate it. So because I haven't been streaming, and I need to do shit, I will be streaming tomorrow. We're gonna play The Sims 4. We're gonna do, we're gonna play an episode of the Sims challenge that I've made that I'm doing on my own. It's 2 birds with 1 stone type of thing. So I get an episode of recording out of this, and I also get to stream. I do not know what time yet. Gil told me he has to work tomorrow, so maybe like 10 a.m. 10 a.m., 10:30, 11, around that time. All times, of course, are EST, Eastern Standard Time, because that's the time that I'm in. So, with all that said, thank you guys so much for joining me for stream. I don't know, besides Saturday's stream, I will not know really what my streaming schedule is going to be like, because we only have 1 car at the moment, and I need to go home and give my mom a car, apparently. But all that said, thank you guys again so much. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, week. Lies. I do wish this for you, but I might raid. Who's on right now? Do you guys want to see Elden Ring? I have never played it, but I think we're gonna raid. I lied. I'm so sorry. Let me get the rating message. If you could ever so lovingly copy and paste this message into the chat of the person we're about to raid. We're about to raid Matham. Matham, let me get the right channel. Matham XO. Currently playing Elden Ring. Never played it. I don't think I'd be good at it. Yeah, but he looks like he's having a fucking blast. So that's what we're gonna raid. Let's start the raid now. Let me see all my things again. Thank you so much for joining me for stream. Thank you for following. I don't think I got any follows actually. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for lurking. Thank you for being your beautiful self. Again, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, week, month, year, and life. And I hope to see you in the next stream. Bye. You'll tell me more if you want in the DMs. Of course. I'm not on Twitter, but I am on Discord, so you can message me on Discord. But yeah, other than that, we're gonna head on out. Thank you guys so much. We're raiding right now.